Hello, ladies, gentlemen, everything in between, and welcome back to Chronovit. Tonight we're presenting episode 8 of Gaecia, a homemade Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition campaign. I'm Crazy Ferret, I'll be your dungeon master for the evening. I may this world be your guide through it. I very much hope you enjoy your stay. With me tonight is Britty.
Hi, I'm Britty. I'm still the token American. Before I introduce my character, just a choice word about the election. I'll be playing Fleet of Foot, the third
Britty,
level.
it's okay. You can come and live with us if it goes wrong.
I'll try. Third level open hand monk. She's not having a great time, but she's doing her best.
Riley.
Hello, I'm Riley. I'm playing Yala Sebastian Lieb von Nuttrelstamp. He is a warlock of Grey Old One with Patches of the Tome, and yeah, he's a fine good chap.
Matt.
I'm Matt. I'm playing Phoenix, level 3 Fire Ganassi Divination Wizard. He can
Matt.
see.
Oh, sorry, thought you did. Oh. You finished? No.
Lost, Matt.
Really?
Ready?
Okay, just go, Nat.
Cool. I'm Nat. I shall be playing Althea, the second level bard, first level life cleric, Aasmai. She does not like anyone hitting the floor.
The future.
Oh,
I see you were doing a joke. You're doing a little funny. Ah. Didn't see that one coming, but I guess.
oh dear. Just gloss past that and Lumie.
Hi, I'm Lumie. I'm playing Ash. Ash Broke-Tooth. She's token tank of the party. She's a barbarian, and as of about 10 minutes ago, she is a Path of the Ancestral Guardian barbarian, which is going to be fun, especially since when I was choosing my subclass, I read the wrong page, so I don't actually have a clue what she can do now.
Well done.
Good.
Oh, that's very on brand.
It's so on brand, isn't it, for both me and the character?
So, we don't have any announcements for the beginning of our stream, so we'll just hop right in. Last time on Gaecia, the party were making their way from the city of Lantern, down in the south of... you're on the wrong thing.
Guys, guess what? It's called Lantern, because it's got a lantern. Genius.
Who would have thought?
It's got a super special magic lantern, to be fair.
My god made that lantern.
Yeah, so making their way up from the city of Lantern, up their way to E3 with
We've been through this.
the Tabaxi child Ward, who they found randomly. It seems to be a bit special. One spontaneously forming owlbears, which is slightly concerning. Yes. So they started making their way, accompanied by a priest known as Abriel and a few acolytes from the church. On their way, they had a minor incident with some flesh-eating ghouls who killed one of the acolytes and two of the party members' horses. Your horse is dead, Lumie. I don't know if you knew that or not. Sorry. It was not intentional. Yes, a couple of horses. Turned out one of these ghouls was a Leth, a priest also from Lantern, who had been investigating a missing child thing that the party eventually solved. And he had nailed to his chest a letter for the Overlord of Aethway, which Phoenix decided to read instead, because Phoenix.
And then resealed.
Yes, you resealed it, but you still read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a note nailed to a dead guy. Who doesn't read those?
It's not something I've ever come across. So I guess I don't know how to write, so maybe I am unfairly judging Phoenix. Yes, so during this fight, Yareth got slightly knocked down and made a friend with one of the acolytes. And Hope again displayed her spontaneous owlbear manifestation, and this time she turned an entire tree into an owlbear, which proceeded to wreck some ghoul behind. Unfortunately, after this exertion, she collapsed and she has been unconscious for the remainder of the journey. And so, we kind of ended last time. It was kind of latest in the afternoon, kind of like 5, 6ish. And you're just like entering the town of Ithwe. It is architecturally relatively similar, to Lantern, where you've been before. However, it is decidedly more defensible. It's by no means a citadel, but it definitely looks far easier to defend, and some of the layout of the streets and stuff definitely looks like there is a certain attention to potential sieges, borne in mind when this city was constructed, compared to Lantern, which looked a lot more unconcerned about such matters. The average person on the street looks slightly more profitable than perhaps a lot of the other people you've seen around, probably because of the capital of the trade centre and company. So a lot of wealth passes through this city. And indeed, there is a very large kind of middle ring to the city. It's kind of middle class. It's a lot of merchants, traders, people who are decidedly comfortable living. So you kind of get some of the finest artisans there as well. So perhaps the very best blacksmiths. You also see a lot more variation in the kind of people you see. So you'll be a handful of halflings, gnomes, even a few elves, dragonborn, possibly even a couple of Goliaths or Aarakocra. You might even see the occasional orc or goblin or something like that as well. It is still vastly dominated by humans, by no means a melting pot, but it's not uncommon. So you yourselves, as a slightly more exotic party, fit in a bit better, even though you are still slightly exotic. Yes, you are kind of guided through this city. It is much bigger than Lantern. Lantern's quite a small city. It is a lot larger. So it kind of takes best part of an hour and a half traversing along the kind of main roads towards the center, which is where the high temple is, or great temple rather. Sorry, I need to get my terminology right. Great temple, because it's the main, the head temple. Let's put it that way. Of Aasmai here in Akaran. It is unfortunately rush hour, so that probably doesn't help matters. There's a lot of people milling around the street, but eventually you'll make your way there. The building itself is curious. It is definitely somewhere between a church and a castle. And Abriel and probably out there as well, you probably know this, and possibly some of you might be aware of this to various degrees, depending on where your backgrounds are from. I'll let you decide that. But basically, this is the seat of power in Akaran. So it is both the Great Church, is also the kind of citadel, not citadel. I'm thinking of government building. It's where the actual political leaders are, main government for the city and country as a whole to a lesser extent. The actual building itself is divided up the middle. On one side you have church, on the other side you have state. It's more of a complex than a singular building. It's kind of a walled ring, and then there's kind of a handful of buildings inside. So there's a few on the church side and a few on the state side. Dead in the center, there's kind of a keep, and kind of the vast majority of this is a throne room. And Abriel and possibly out there as well will tell you that inside there is the marble throne, ostensibly from which Aasmai rules from, although he doesn't do much sitting in it because he prefers to wander. And then at his left and right hand side there is the archpriest and the overlord. So again, church and state, overlord of the city. And again, this throne room is divided up in the middle by this kind of golden line, and kind of nobles and courtiers will sit on the kind of state side, and then the various hierarchy in the church will kind of sit on the other side for grand audiences, festivals, momentous occasions. It mostly stands empty, except for all but kind of especially important times. There'll be like festivals and stuff. There might be kind of elitist ceremonies taking place in the throne room, particularly important decisions, but day to day it is generally empty. Yes. So as you are kind of guided up towards this building by Abriel, and he will kind of take you inside. He'll kind of say you is to some receptionist or whatever, and then eventually you'll be kind of escorted to one of the buildings on the church side of the complex. You'll kind of have to wait a little bit, maybe like 15-20 minutes, as whoever you're here to see will be notified of your presence. Eventually you will be then guided in to this kind of little... It's quite a nice office. It's definitely the office of someone who is important and somewhat prosperous. There's quite a few curios and trinkets kind of adorning the walls. It definitely doesn't look gaudy. There's definitely a certain amount of class, and it's generally quite a nice atmosphere to it. Inside, you'll be introduced to Guion, who is one of the Council of High Priests in Aethway. He is a very dark-skinned human. He's kind of got... he's completely bald or clean-shaven. He looks to be in his kind of mid-40s. He is slightly on the muscular side of things, though he's definitely not like a bodybuilder. Or actually, you're definitely more swole than he is, but he's not far off.
Of course I am. Why is that even a statement?
The Tarast isn't as swole as Urashi is.
Yeah, you definitely reckon he could handle himself in a trial at arms. He's just kind of clothed in decidedly... it's not ceremonial, but it's decidedly priestly robes. They kind of look like everyday, like day-to-day stuff. And there you will notice he's kind of got it's kind of got purple detailing, which will denote his rank as High Priest, or one of the High Priests. Yes, so he will introduce himself. He is Guion. We'll go around and you can all introduce yourselves. We'll kind of gloss over that. We just introduce you all. You'll kind of all be sat down. Abriel will kind of fill him in on some of the stuff that happened on the road. And he will hand over the letter that was addressed to Edolid, the Overlord. Are there any parts of the story you guys want to chime in and emphasize? Are you just letting Abriel take the lead? Are you doing anything during this, basically?
I trust Abriel to tell the whole story. I don't think he's gonna over-exaggerate or underplay any important bits.
We'll just pop in if there's anything that they do miss.
It seems
But
to be
with the
fairly
report.
accurate. He'll say that
Good.
he'll explain who left was, and they kind of associate with the church. It's a phrase that's been batted about for who exactly he was. He'll be filled in. He probably knows a lot of the stuff about hope and all that, because of the kind of reports you can see open on his desk. He's clearly just reread. And notice a couple of your names and hopes in there. If you kind of glance over them, you gather he's been filled in up to the journey. Yes, he seems relatively well briefed on the situation.
Sweet.
So
Then Yaris happy.
yeah, cool. So it seems that we owe you all somewhat of a debt. This young girl is clearly of some import, and we're grateful for the help of relative strangers for all your aid in this matter.
You're welcome, chap.
I wouldn't thank us too soon. You've probably done more of a problem in your lap than a solution.
The church exists to both make and deal with problems.
And that's politics.
But, well, as I say, we are all very grateful for what you've done so far, especially regarding the children in Lantern. That was a especially gracious service you performed. We are, rest assured, we are definitely investigating what can be done to rectify what has been done to them. But if you are willing, we would be interested in acquiring your services further.
What's the job?
Kind of services.
Well, it
Well,
depends how far out the way it takes us. I believe this one still has a delivery to make.
Oh, well,
Oh yeah, we keep forgetting about Althea.
Yes, I do still need to head up north.
conveniently north is exactly where it would be taking you.
Just
As
looks like
you
someone
are,
planned it.
the gods are wise. Well, as you are aware, Hope needs to be fashioned a permanent device to obscure her from the eyes of those who would seek to perform ill with her decided talents, let's say. Obviously, what was done to ensure your safe travel between Lantern and here was a temporary and quite costly for a day-to-day price. So we seek to create a permanent amulet to disguise her from certain tracking magics. As you can imagine, this is...
At the word tracking, Ashley just rises her eyebrows ever so slightly.
I'm sure you can imagine this is a difficult item to produce and requires certain components that are not easily purchased on the high street. We'd be requesting your help in obtaining some of these items.
You know, I've had a lot of time to actually think about this particular problem. There was magics my master knew fairly well. It never interested me too much, but I still had the notes, so I took the opportunity to take a look back over, and
Of course.
Phoenix will produce a little square of silk.
Mm-hmm.
One end of it will catch ever so slightly so that a heat haze surrounds it, and then he will kind of waft that over Hope's head. Briefly, a heat haze will shimmer over Hope before fading, and nothing will outwardly change. I don't know if this is the sort of magic you're proposing to distill into an artifact, but in the meantime, we should be able to cover this pretty well.
If you don't mind me asking, chap, what is it you just did?
Tricky little bit of magic. It basically tricks the world into thinking something is something else. And right now, to the world at large, including, I believe, most forms of divination magic, Hope is a perfectly normal Tabaxi child. As Phoenix has just cast Arcanist's magic aura. Which
Fair enough.
I will pop in the chat for viewers' benefit. And if I have my notes correct, I believe I can make this effect permanent.
It looks like Ferret's internet has crashed.
Uh-oh. Have we lost the DM?
If
That
he's
is
not back in
concern.
if he's not back in 15 minutes, we will get a free level up.
He's not back
No,
in
we'll
15
get-
minutes. We're legally allowed to level up. It's just the law.
Oh my god,
Okay.
who remembers that?
So,
Mum said it's my turn to use the DM's internet. We're left entirely unsupervised on stream tries.
for the purposes of chat, since the text box in the actual chat window is very hard to read, I pulled up the spell in a big box, so it's readable.
Big box.
That's a fair point. I don't have my usual Twitch stream up. Let's get that going.
You're not watching the stream on twitch.tv
I'm playing the
/
stream.
rolling with it? How could you?
You're watching the stream. I am the stream.
I am
don't-
the Senate.
I don't purely because it makes my internet lag to all hell.
I just have it open on my phone with 5G instead of Wi-Fi, so I don't get the lag.
Oh, I can't hear the historic chat. I can't see the historic chat. So, did you say you put up the description in the Twitch chat?
Not in the Twitch chat, in a big box in the on stream. On the stream, dingo.
That's neat.
Although this one is called Nistel's Magic Aura, so I'm assuming
Yeah,
that's just a bit of
that's because
reflavoring
I'm
on your
using-
end.
I'm using the no. It's the SRD version. All of the spells that have like a canon Forgotten Realms character in the name, like Mordenkainen's Mansion, Nistel's Magic Aura, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, they all have kind of SRD versions. So it's Hideous Laughter and Magnificent Mansion, and this one's called Arcanist's Magic Aura instead of
Ah.
Nistel's Magic Aura.
I see.
It's referred to
it's
as
so you
magic
can-
aura.
It's so the spells make sense in settings where the characters they're named after don't exist.
That makes
I
too
presume
much
there
sense.
is no Nistel in Gaecia, so.
That makes too much sense. That's not okay.
Hello?
Our DM's back.
Oh,
It wasn't
when
15
did we
minutes.
lose it?
Damn it.
Sorry about that. Guy is just the router crashed. And you see what you can do about that. Turn it back on. Hopefully it will stay on. Who knows?
We can pray.
Yeah.
When did we lose you?
You just made a heat haze.
Yeah, so that settles around Hope,
Yeah.
and nothing will outwardly change about her. And Phoenix will just say, hopefully, if that's the kind of magic you're hoping to distill into some form of artifact, we've got it covered in the meantime. And if I'm not mistaken, I can make this effect permanent.
So I'm just reading the spell.
And Gareth asked what he did, and Phoenix said, tricky little bit of magic. I essentially just tricked the universe into thinking one thing was something else. And for all intents and purposes, the universe and divination magic considers Hope to be a perfectly normal Tabaxi child.
So, if I'm understanding the spell right, that would mean that she doesn't necessarily see magic, but people who already know to look for her could still find her, yes?
People casting divination magic to target a Fenakama would not find her because, to divination magic, she does not appear to be a Fenakama. She appears to be an ordinary Tabaxi child.
Yes, but to people, for example, the people who had her and then restored her over would know that she is Hope the Tabaxi child. So they'd still be able to find her. So it's definitely not a catch-all.
Oh, people will still be able to find Hope.
All right.
People will not be able to find a Fenakama.
So, yes.
Whatever that is.
So as you explain the spell, and the priest will probably get out a book of magic to kind of, cross-reference to understand exactly what you're doing. He will explain the fact that it will definitely hope somewhat, but it is by no means perfect. Obviously, you want to create something that will just completely hide Hope herself from powerful divination magics, including those that could, by those cast by particularly powerful magic, you should just see through that anyway. That level 2 spell, because there are creatures that can do that.
I'm thinking long term. If whoever these people are who already have a vested interest in Hope are, they probably aren't alone. If she has power that's coveted,
well, yes,
and eventually other people are going to be looking for her. This hopefully heads those off, if not the people already aware.
Yes, it is definitely useful. However, Hope will not be traveling with, which will be far safer here than on any road. I'm sure you can imagine. Or understand, rather, not imagine. But yes, we have similar effects at our disposal. Obviously, we'll be doing our best to minimize them actually can be seen until we have time to create this amulet. But yes, we will still need to create this permanent item. But we have not discussed whether or not you are willing to take out this task. Are there any questions? We will be more than willing to pay for your services, of course.
I mean,
Well, that was one of them.
To me, it doesn't particularly matter. As long as it's going to help keep Hope safe, I'm happy to do whatever I need.
I mean, I don't think we'd be very effective at whatever job they're asking us to do if we were going in starving without equipment, so a little compensation never goes wrong.
We'll discuss exactly what we wanted to do before we discuss payment. That is generally the way it is done. That is my understanding, at least. These items are, as I say, you can't buy them on the high street. We have contacts. We're able to gather a couple more items, but the list, shopping list, shall we say, that we are interested in your finding, will take you into far north into Cathania, even to the very far reaches, should you decide to take on all the tasks. Yes. So we have a list of 5 items that we desire. The first one is relatively simple. A collection of giant spider eyes. Let's see, they are quite nasty beasts. They are most commonly found around the Ogor Mountains. However, there are pockets of them kind of around Rakanthor, and even as far west as in Rathox, even maybe as far south as Mathor. I'm sure in that area you can actually find people who are willing to guide you to a nest. People are generally quite eager to get those pests dealt with. The second component is the tears of a unicorn. This is perhaps the most elusive. Unicorns are not easy to find. However, if you are as skilled as Abriel and Iona seem to suggest you might be, we we definitely believe you have it within you. Unicorns exist anywhere where there are sacred forests. So as you could look in the Foutorn Woods or the Weether. But there are areas in Cathania as well where you might be able to find an area protected by a unicorn. So if you happen to come across any, on your travels, keep near to the ground, that sort of thing. Again, that is a component we are after. Third would be a wyvern stinger. Now, if you don't know, wyverns are not true dragons. However, they are dragons nonetheless, and therefore they are confined to Cathania. They flap about. Again, they are somewhat of a pest. Well, probably a bit more than pests. They are more than capable of decimating cattle herds. So again, I'm sure you could find someone who would be willing to point you in the direction of a wyvern to come across an unhappy accident, let's say. And third is a goblet of Ilganess tin. Like Ilganess is the most northern of Cathanian cities, so it would be quite a journey. But as I say, we'll be paying you handsomely for it. And finally, we need a copy of Franrak's Observations of the Unseen. This is a book that is. Thranrak was a arcanist, much as yourself. Studied for a many years, many things. We have been led to believe that Hope is being trailed by some invisible stalker, I believe is the term used to describe it. And obviously, we will have to ultimately deal with that, the person creating it. So we would like to cross-reference Thranrak's works to discover all we can about this particular enemy and the best ways to defeat it. He was a Dragonborn scholar. There are a few libraries in Cathania. Few places that spring to mind would be Rakathan itself, Rakviknag, or maybe even Mithal. Places most likely to carry copies of his work. Unfortunately, he's no longer alive. He died 10 years or so back, but which is why his work isn't as widespread. But we trust that you'll be able to come across a copy somewhere. We'll probably be able to pay for a scribe to write another version up. But yes, as I say, these are various items. So I can write them down for you. Hang on.
On that note, and I guess out of a certain sense of professional curiosity, I can't help but note how many of these components seem to be distinctly biological.
Sorry. Well, there is an element of that.
I was just curious, is this an artifact you're aiming to create or a potion? Because
many magics use, miscellaneous, biological items.
I suppose more than anything, I'm just curious about the process. Is there a distillation process? Do you stew certain materials in these?
If you're telling for the exact science behind it, I am very much the wrong person to be asking. I am overseeing the project. I am not carrying it out.
I've read certain treatises on sympathetic properties. I was just wondering if it was something to do with that. I'm getting a bit beyond the point, though, aren't I? Sorry.
Okay. He will hand over the table to you a page, a page of writing, and then he will. On it listed is the components he requires, and then prices that he will offer for your collection of them. So the total amount that we'll be paying you to acquire all these items, if you manage to collect them all, in total will be 2,400 gold. And we'll be willing to offer you a starter sum of 500 gold. Because obviously it is a long trip to Cathania. I'm sure you might need horses, food, stuff like that to aid you on your way. So, total of 2,900 should you acquire all the items.
Well, that certainly sounds like a lot. She just looks at the people who would know what money is.
It's certainly a lot in one lump sum. It's got to be weighed against a trek across the entirety of Cathania.
Well, yes, this is somewhat of an expedition, granted. Whether it is far more than the vast majority of people would see in several years.
I was going to say, like, do we know what the average wage is?
I mean, for a farmhand, you're looking at half a gold per day, maybe.
Right.
Obviously, that's lowest of the low.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a wealthy merchant, you might be looking at anywhere between 5 and 100 gold per day, but obviously 100 would be the uber successful 1% kind of wealth.
Yeah.
So, from your understanding, yes, it will be in another of maybe a couple of months, but for what you're being paid, it's not awful. It's decidedly reasonable for adventure work, you think, as far as you can tell.
And while we're trekking months around Cathania, I hope we'll stay here.
Yes, that is the intention.
I mean, if she's perfectly safe for months at a time, unprotected with this item, what's even the point of acquiring it?
She will not be unprotected. She will be here in the center of Eighthway.
Well, so I mean, if she can just stay here and be safe.
You would confine not human life, a life to essential imprisonment for the entirety of her days.
I mean, at some point it would become Hope's choice, but I mean, long enough for her to get a grip on whatever these powers are. She seems perfectly capable of defending herself if she could just control it.
I understand your objection, however...
I'm not sure that leaving her without protection is the most appropriate.
Again, you are in the center of the capital of Akaran. Aasmai himself often walks these streets. The suggestion that she is unprotected here is highly misguided. And you remember back to your journey, you definitely walked past a sizable amount of guards in the city.
That's what I mean. I'm thinking ahead. Say we acquire these components. Say we create this artifact. Then what? Hope just lives a normal life. She'll be protected from divination magic, sir. But I mean, news travels. She can create creatures from nothing. Word of that power will spread regardless of what you do magically.
Her future is... We don't know what it will hold. All we know is that the god himself has an interest in the protection of this child. So we will do everything in our power until we have further guidance.
I mean...
Phoenix will just sit back in the chair and glance over at Althea and just say, I guess we're heading north anyway, and as you said, it's not exactly the safest place on the road for her.
And we get to see a unicorn? That's big.
Well, we get to find a unicorn.
I mean, we've been sent to find one. Even a trace will be fun, no? A unicorn? Phoenix, you know what they are, right?
Yeah, I'm not thinking of the unicorn. I'm thinking of the leagues upon leagues of forest we're gonna have to trek through.
Yes, but we're going to see a unicorn. Well, we're going to try and see a unicorn. Yes, deal. Yes.
Could I just check that we're on the right page? This amulet or artifact that you intend to make, chaps, is it just to protect from divination magic, or was it also offer the protection from this stalker thing? Or is that sort of one and the same thing?
It will help stop the seeker from seeking her. It might not be perfect. That is one of the reasons why we seek this tome about information on it.
Sure.
We will definitely seek to kill it at
Yes.
a later date. We might even need to use hope to help draw it out to an extent. But this creature is connected to some powered or magic user. And so we seek to strike at them.
Yes.
Potentially through the finding and destruction of this creature.
My second question, chap. Am I right in saying that the creature, stalker, invisible thingy, horrible thing, can't come into city walls? Like it couldn't come into Lantern. I'm assuming it can't come in here either.
From my understanding, it's not that it is physically incapable. It is decidedly reluctant.
Yeah, I
However,
would have said can't isn't the same thing as wouldn't.
well, we imagine it would take some serious driving on its master's part to encourage it into, any city, let alone Aethway. And if it did, there are few places more safe.
Yes. Brilliant.
Well, I certainly didn't think I'd be going home this early.
Home?
Oh, has it never come up? I'm from Cathania.
Ah. It might
Hasn't
have.
come up now.
but-
Yeah, a little coastal town on the west. You haven't heard of it.
Well, now I want to go.
No, I have not.
Well, even more reason to set off. No, you can give us a tour.
So is
Sure.
that decided then?
I think so.
we are.
Mm-hmm.
Very well. He will reach under his desk and he will produce 2 items. One is a bag that seems to be of money, and he will slide this over. He's not giving it to anybody, he's putting it to your end of the desk to see who takes it. Containing 500 gold, as you can imagine. The second is a rectangular box. It's kind of a foot wide, half that long, and half that deep. It's got a little swingy open lid. It's kind of nicely carved. It doesn't look by any means a masterpiece. It's decidedly aesthetically pleasing. He will explain that this is a box transferal. I have its brother here, and he will produce a second one. Any item that is placed within one at dawn will switch and reappear in the sibling boxes. We can use this to transfer items, messages, money between the pair of us, our 2 groups, as you complete them. So as soon as you find a component, put it in the box. At dawn, it will come to me, and at dawn after, I will give you your payment for that specific component.
Interesting.
Most
Does
of
it
them
just
fit
work on
in here.
items? Does it just work on items, or can creatures pass through?
From testing, creatures, while their bodies come through, spirits less so. And that is generally not a desirable situation. Organic components generally come through fine, provided they are already dead. However, the more basic the more successful. Generally, over time, multiple transfers can cause organic items to decay. Other one trip is generally fine, as far as we're aware, at the very least. Yes. If you ever need to get in contact with me, to ask for help finding a certain item, you just want to send a letter to Hope, let's say, stuff like that. You can use the box. I say it only transfers at dawn and only with one item or collection of items. If that makes sense.
So it could do a rock, or a spider's eye, or 5 spider's eyes, but not a rock and a spider's eye.
Correct. Bags and holding vessels generally seem to be an exception to the rule. So you could keep your spider's eye in a bag. Or you could even send a tankard of ale. But you couldn't send a tankard and then some loose ale around it. I'm not quite sure how that particular magic works, but as I say, I'm not a scholar in that exact area. Perhaps you could find out for me, Mr. Phoenix. Or Mr. White, sorry. He's not going to call you by your first name, Mr. White.
I'm sure I'll have a lot of time to study this thing.
Sorry, I'm going to go on a tangent. That sounds really interesting. So you can have the tankard with ale in it, but if the ale comes out, then it won't work. But what if when you're putting it in, the ale spills? And that's really interesting. I want to.
I will not appreciate random experiments.
But why not? We need to find out the limits of this, surely.
You kind of give Abriel a kind of a glance, like, you sure about these people? I am a busy man. I'm sure in the future you might be able to purchase a pair yourself, and then you can perform whatever experiment you will so please. You might be paying you.
Phoenix will share a look with Yareth and just say, I think we intend to.
I mean, sure. Yes, he will hand over the box of transfer, or one box of transfer.
How large is this box again?
Is it? It's a foot wide. It's a foot kind of long, and then a foot deep.
Yeah, we're passing that over to Ash.
Okay. Ash does not have a problem with this.
Very well. Yes. Who's taking the 500 gold?
I mean, if we're leaving, yeah.
I was going to say, if no one goes forward, Yareth will pick it up and will endeavour to divide it amongst the 5 of us once we get out.
Sure. Hey, are there any more questions for me about anything you're doing?
Go north, get things, right?
Also complete your
That is the
deliveries.
general plan.
Seems a waste not to take advantage of the fact we're in the capital. Any sites you'd point out?
Well, depends exactly what it is after. You're after entertainment or historical interest. What exactly are you talking about?
Well, now you mention after the week I've had, I could use some entertainment.
There is a theatre, I believe. That is, I'll give you general directions. I'm not entirely sure it's being played at the moment. However, I am assured it is of high quality. After, shall we say, less upper class entertainment, there are various bars where you might see slightly more. How shall we put it? Lower quality, let's say, entertainers. However, the masses generally find them just as comedic, or perhaps even more so than the high arts. there are some famous bards, minstrels in the city who perform at certain venues. I'm sure you could seek some of them out. I believe there is it's not the Colosseum. The what's it called?
I don't know. It's your city, dude.
I don't remember the word.
The Gladiatorium.
That's it. We'll go with that.
Colosseum.
No, not Colosseum, because the Colosseum is like it's a the. This is just a general gladiatorial arena. Arena. That's the word I was looking for. Arena.
That's the one. We
Uh,
got there in the end, ladies and gentlemen.
You did it.
where you get various sports balls or occasional martial contests. They're generally quite well liked. I'm sure there are adult entertainment you could find somewhere. That is the general strokes of entertainment, as I understand it.
Is this like in a district, or is this just scattered about?
Well, stuff like the theatre and the arena are close to the centre, not too far away. Whereas the high class minstrels will generally perform in the upper class inns and taverns, again towards the centre. Whereas I say the comics and the adult entertainment you will find further out.
Well, I for one would enjoy a play before we go, but that's just me.
I'm happy to follow along whatever you guys want to
If
do.
you were
This is
discussing
all.
your evening's entertainment, can I ask you to do it outside? As I say, I am a busy man. So of course, you have further questions for
Oh,
me.
sorry. Yes, we should have.
Thank you
left
for your
or
time.
invite-
We appreciate it.
All right. Well,
Have a fine day, chap.
Bye.
okay, so you can't leave. Avery will
Ash just
stay
nods.
behind. Yes, you'll be escorted by some acolyte out of the seat of power. I forget the word again. The church castle hybrid thing.
Cathedral.
It's not quite a cathedral.
Citadel?
It's not quite a citadel. Whatever. Yes, you were escorted out into the kind of eighth way at large. What are we doing?
Now that you mention it, Althea, I think I could go for watching someone else's misfortunes instead of our own for once. Play sounds pretty nice.
I don't think I've ever. What's a play?
Well, you never
It's
had the traveling minstrels come around, put on a bit of production for you? They're big in Cathania. They do circuits.
You don't exactly get traveling bands out in the Badlands. It's more of people just moving. Nobody's really trying to stay in one spot there, not for very long.
It's like a story, but they act it out for you, and you get to watch it happen. They're really exciting.
Yeah, the ones we saw in Cathania were sort of low productions, kind of ad hoc, thrown together. Guys wearing mops on their heads. They broke up the monotony, but I've always been a bit curious how the big ones do them. The proper productions.
I mean, it sounds
Yeah.
interesting.
Yes, I haven't been to the theatre in quite a while, so it would be good to go and see a show again, chaps. I'm down. I'm Dame.
Okay, so the plan to go to the theatre, yes?
I would say so.
I suppose we should find somewhere that tells us what's on.
Yes. Okay. So you kind of follow his directions to the theatre. Kind of outside will be the advertising as to what's going on. What's currently being played is something that's known as the Tragedy of Amberwyn and Gandor.
A tragedy.
If you would like to see if you are familiar with the
Sounds-
story, you could roll me history.
Not exactly what I was hoping for,
Of-
but
Of
I guess I did want
course
to
I
find out what
would,
you
chap.
played.
Why have I accidentally closed the roll 20?
Obviously, I've heard of this story. I know exactly what's going on here. I know the whole thing from start to finish.
It's Fleet's favourite production, isn't it?
Yeah. Fleet starts telling you this story about this old man who used to juggle his head until he remembers they're actually reciting the comedy of Elder Bing, and he kind of trails off looking sheepish.
Oh, I think I got my stories mixed up.
Okay, Riley, you kind
Hello.
of you vaguely oh, it's not Riley, Yara. There you go. You've probably heard this doing the circus in QU a little bit. It's kind of a pseudo Romeo and Juliet. It's kind of these two lovers who can't be together because of their. It's not family. This time it's race because you've got an elf and a human, and it's kind of this is from millennia past where it's kind of taboo for races to intermingle. However, they eventually did, and supposedly their offering was the first half elf. And yeah, so it's kind of this whole tragedy. They both end up dying, and their child is raised by the Gandor's uncle.
Yeah.
Well, tragedy's not exactly what I was hoping for, but I guess I did want to find out how they did them in the big cities.
As you kind of go up, as you inquire after prices for a standing view, it's 7 silver. If you want to sit down, it's a gold.
Althea will pay for everyone to sit down.
Cool. So that'd be 5 gold. Yeah. There's kind of like half an hour before the show starts, so you could get food and stuff. You've timed it just right. Surprisingly, with your arrival in 8th Way, kind of getting on for a 8-9-ish start. So yeah, you can probably get some sort of street food or whatever that you can enjoy. Yes, you kind of sit down, and yeah, it is. I mean, it's definitely art. How much you appreciate it, again, I will leave it up to you. It's one of those ones where you kind of got the people on stage, and then they kind of perform. There's music, and then there's a narrator who says everything. The narrator's the only one who actually speaks. You kind of got the actors themselves are kind of just miming and kind of say, the actor will be, and then her heart was torn, and then she'll kind of make a, hand to the brow kind of pose. And obviously the music will kind of reflect it. So it's kind of basically the narrator telling the story, the kind of actors kind of miming it out, and then obviously music. So again, I'll leave it up to you to decide how your characters take it. But if you are inclined to enjoy art, it's quite well done. If you are not necessarily inclined to enjoy art, then it's a bit rubbish. But I'll let you decide where on that spectrum you fall.
Now, I might be saying the obvious, but wouldn't it just be better if it was just the narrator?
Well, no, because having the actors physically embody the characters, it just adds je ne sais quoi.
I didn't know you spoke Elvish, Yareth.
I dabble.
Your pronunciation's a bit off.
As I said, I dabble.
What did you think, Urashi?
I think any excuse for adventure is good enough for me.
Fair enough. Even if that's an adventure to the theatre.
Yes. I have never seen a theatre anyway. I don't know what to expect. Last I heard about it, there was lots of fighting, so...
Phoenix? Being a bit quiet.
Were you impressed?
He'll look a bit speechless and then just say, "That was really boring."
Thank the gods, I thought I was the only one. It was an awful story.
I think
It didn't make any sense. It was so unrelatable.
I think Althea and Yareth might exchange a look.
Oh, 100%. Just,
Oh,
Like,
well,
informative, I guess, as a historical piece, but
maybe we'll have to find a comedy playing along the way.
yes.
Might be more up your alley.
If y'all
Yeah,
want
those
a
tend to make a
real
lot more
good
sense.
storytelling, I'll take you back home and I'll show you how Mom does it. She could tell a story.
Is there acting?
No, you
What
imagine
about
it.
music?
I mean, there might be, depending on who's available. Probably not.
Mm.
But you use
Well,
your
I'm sure-
imagination.
I'm
Oh.
sure it's lovely.
What? That would be lovely. What we must do, though, at some point is go to see a concert. Music is sublime.
Yeah, so this took about like several hours, so it's about midnight now as you're kind of leaving the theatre. Yeah, so there's probably not time for too much more entertainment aside from heavy drinking later in the evening.
I'm assuming
Well,
Yareth
suppose.
divvied out the spoils.
Yes.
Well, I guess we should find some accommodation for the night then. Are we heading off in the morning, or
I think we
is
could.
this all Aquay has to offer for now?
Well, it depends on how quickly we want to go. I'm sure there's a few more things we can do here, but if we want to get this delivery for Althea done as soon as possible and then be on our own way, then it would be sooner better. I wonder,
Seems reasonable to me.
Gareth, you spent more time around the books than I did. Do you think you might have a copy of that Observation of the Unseen book?
That is a good point. DM, do I think that? And also, would I know of any rumors revolving around unicorns in the forests around QU? And
Okay.
Wyther.
So, based on the on what the priest told you about how this Thandor guy was incredibly recent, in fact, he died like 10 years ago. That's what he said. It probably wouldn't be worth betting that his work had made it to QU.
That's
Depending on how interested various scholars at QU might be. You're probably better off looking around his country of origin where he actually did his work.
Yeah.
Or copies of it.
So if I know my geography, what's our best course? Up through Sword Turn, maybe try and get into the outskirts of the Faltorns, have a look around for a unicorn, then up to Casimir, or is this more of a double back sort of job? Because you weren't exactly subtle about it, Althea, but I got the feeling you wanted to see a unicorn.
Well, I do really want to see a unicorn, yes. But I just when you're a kid and they tell you you can't find a unicorn by looking for them, they know they live in secret. They come to you. You have to have a pure heart and we should do that.
Well, for hope's sake, let's hope that's not true.
Is it likely to come to us?
You're all really kind. I'm sure your hearts are pure.
Fleet
single
beat a guy to
bead of
death
sweat.
like 2 weeks ago.
A single bead
Felix
of
is a
sweat
dickhead.
goes down
Gareth is
Garrett's
also
face.
a dickhead. And Ash probably wants to hunt the unicorn.
Yeah.
I didn't
So
say
for
pure what.
information on unicorns, your choice of nature or religion.
Oh, I'm really good
Wait.
at both of those things. So
I'm not good at
Why
either
not?
of those. Thank God.
Phoenix knows fucking everything, I guess. Jesus.
This
Hey.
is not the first unicorn that Phoenix has slaughtered.
We're not
Anybody else?
slaughtering it. We just want tears.
Yeah,
Oh,
Also, you
slaughtering
said
it will
that- you said
definitely
that-
get you tears.
I like that Ash has said that to literally the only party member who has yet to kill anyone.
Not the
Wait.
point.
So,
I don't
yeah, you
remember
probably,
killing anyone.
you probably both get most of it. Unicorns are creations of Fahir, the Firbolg god. So he kind of much like Firbolgs are kind of guardians of nature, whereas Firbolgs are kind of nature as a whole. Unicorns tend to be consecrated around specific points. So either a magic well, or this tree bears golden apples kind of thing. So they're kind of around magic, important nature magic artifacts. If that makes sense. So they say generally kind of they're guardians of like a grove or a valley, so kind of a smaller consecrated area. Generally, these areas are avoided by most people, partially because you generally don't want to tamper with a unicorn, and messing with their valley can lead to some very nasty consequences, and partially kind of out of respect almost for this god and this powerful creature he's placed here to guard whatever this thing is. There are lots of rumors about there's always people like, in that woods, I heard there's a unicorn there. Most of that is complete rubbish. However, occasionally you'll find stuff that's true. However, in terms of finding unicorns, asking commoners generally a bad idea. You want to find people who know what they're talking about. In terms of actually meeting a unicorn, there are two ways. Way one is to go into whatever they're protecting and mess stuff up. At which point, you'll meet the unicorn because he's going to come at you horn first. And then the second one is to kind of show that you kind of mean no harm. It's not quite the you have to be pure of heart kind of thing that Althea is actually suggesting, but kind of maybe perform some service to kind of tend the grove, or you kind of help in some way. You kind of almost perform some service. Sometimes a unicorn might leave clues as to what kind of might need doing if it senses people who might be of that intent in its kind of range. However, not always. So it's kind of very few people actually will get to see it that way. Partially because commoners generally can't do anything a unicorn can't, so it doesn't really need their help. Yes, that's kind of most of what both you both of you get most of that. If anything, you possibly get it with a bit more certainty.
Can I state what
Okay.
might be the obvious or not obvious, chaps? Not only do we have to meet this mythical creature unicorn thing, we also have to make it cry.
Yeah,
Not
you what now?
necessarily out of sadness.
Yes,
I
but
suppose we could make it laugh.
I'm just saying that we have to make a unicorn cry to get its tears in some capacity.
Well, what if we ask it? Maybe it can cry for us.
Urashi, cry right now.
This is where we find out if Ashy can fake cry. Can she?
Um,
With her -2 to performance.
Do it!
With a -2 in charisma, like, your only method would be, pinching, like reaching out and pinching your leg and trying to do it that way.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work somehow.
Yeah, I imagine
She
she'd
just
be
like,
somewhat
pulls
resistant.
one of her
to that.
own nose hairs out. It's like, look, I'm crying.
I mean,
You kind of
Oh,
make your eyes
Christ.
water as opposed to, honest to goodness crying. That's what I'm going to say.
I've heard stories about magical creatures giving gifts to people who were worthy. It's possible that unicorn tears is just one of those things. Although, I don't know for certain.
Hmm.
But we won't know just sitting here, will we?
No, I'm just making sure that we're aware that that's one of the things that we must do.
Hmm.
Well,
Alright, well, I don't know about the rest of you, but that play nearly bored me to tears, so let's find a tavern or something.
somewhere with a bit more excitement, yeah. Maybe a good
You're looking
storyteller.
for a generic tavern or a Merryfall Association tavern?
I mean,
I mean,
Maryfall's been
might as
pretty
well
nice to
build
us
up a
so
loyalty.
far.
Sorry, I had two people talking at once then.
After you, Matt.
Might as well build up a loyalty card.
All right. Okay. So you make your way to the Merryfall Association. This particular chain is known as the Roaring Lion. And kind of on the side there is a lion's head, its mouth wide, as if it's roaring. This is decidedly larger than the one in Lantern. However, its kind of occupants it's kind of much the same kind of mix of people from all over. There are you are well at home here in terms of population. Imagine there's probably maybe 50 to 80 rooms here, as opposed to the kind of more 20-ish the one in Lantern, and kind of you'll proudly say in kind of below the sign in window it says Merryfall Association Tavern. It says the original one. Yes, so you kind of enter in, and kind of behind the bar, there is a human lady. She's kind of got this shoulder-length black hair. She's kind of caramel-colored skin. She seems to be currently flirting outrageously with a Goliath who seems utterly smitten with her and paying through the nose for various drinks.
Hmm.
Well, the original. That's certainly something. Makes sense.
What are we doing?
I'll find us a table. You all grab drinks?
Fruits.
And rooms sounds brilliant. What are the arrangements vis-a-vis beds and rooms?
I think Ash and Fleet normally share.
Yeah, Ash ain't bothered. She don't mind.
Cool. Go up to the bar, presumably with at least Althea.
Yeah.
Single rooms are 8 silver, gold if you want food, and then twin rooms are 15 silver, and then 2 gold if you want food.
So,
No, sorry, 18 if you want food. I can read.
so 3 singles and a double, all with food.
Sure. Yeah, so you'll kind of turn away from the Goliath for a moment, who is clearly still looking at her. He seems, both from his manner and his breath, he is clearly very drunk. Yes, she will kind of happily take your coin and hand you over some keys. Well, is there anything else I can do for you chaps?
Should we get a round of drinks in? There's 5 of us. Some.
How adventurous you feeling this evening?
Well, for starters, what's your most average ale? Your like middle of the road, not the best, not the worst. We'll start off in
Middle
the
of the road. Well, we have a quite a nice barrel of the applewood at the moment. It's got this kind of fruity undertone that kind of sets the whole thing light. That's 3 copper a tankard at the moment. That's kind of it's what I would recommend for middle of the road. Very high end. We've got this gold tree. That's about 10 copper tankard. However, it is it's so kind of chef's kiss. I'm not familiar with the process of making it, but they say they run it over kind of magically attuned kind of gold-plated leaves. That's why it gets its goldwood name. And whatever they do, it's pretty good. Really, complete bottom of the barrel. 1 copper per tankard. Well, it's pig soil, and that's what it's called. Or at least that's their motto. Yes, we won't talk too much about that.
No. Can we have 5 of the middle one and 5 of the
course.
gold one?
Of course. So that will be 6 silver altogether. No, sorry. 6 silver, 5 copper. I can maths.
Brilliant. Yarth will happily pay for that.
Cool.
It's
So
good
you'll
to say,
kind
I
of
covered the rooms.
pardon?
I covered the. I'll say I covered the rooms.
Yeah. Right. Cool. Yeah. She'll kind of start, filling up your goods, and she'll kind of put them on the tray to bring them to your table once she's finished.
Thank you very much, chap.
No problem.
Lovely. As soon as they're sat down on the table, Phoenix will slide his over to Ash and go up and order a cider.
Okay.
All
middle
right.
side will be 3 copper as well.
Ash will drink whatever's in front of her. She is not picky.
I mean, yeah, the middle of the road is, it's middle of the roady. It's on the nicer end. You gather it's probably kept quite cleanly, and there's probably not too many dead rats floating in the brewing vats.
Probably.
The upper scale one, you definitely think, yeah, I understand why it's upper scale. I mean, it's not something you'd probably want to drink all night for the expense, but 1 cup's definitely seems worth it to most of you. Eventually, food will be brought round, and you between you seem to have a collection of miscellaneous roast fowl, so chicken, pheasants, partridge, that kind of thing. It's kind of a platter almost that's kind of brought out to you, along with miscellaneous vegetables and bread and potatoes and stuff like that.
So, Fleet, how are you taking all this? You were pretty quiet back there.
Fleet, after absolutely chugging whatever drink is in front of her, just puts it down on the table. Dealing with? I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. I have no issues with leaving Hope alone here. Not at all. Nope. Not one bit.
No one asked you that, chap.
Oh. I'm sorry, I thought you were referring to something else.
Just asked how you were doing.
I'm doing absolutely fine. Why do you ask?
Because you just said all of that.
I'm perfectly fine. I'm definitely not worried at all for Hope's safety. I think she's gonna be absolutely okay.
I'm assuming, DM, I don't need no insight check to know that Fleet is very worried about Hope.
Probably
I think that's
not.
an instant fail of Fleet's perception. So unless you roll on that one, so there's no point rolling.
Look, Hope is going to be fine.
I mean, yeah, she's gonna be fine, but I was finally starting to get it. I didn't really understand why people would choose to sit around in one spot and have the family instead of just be a part of it. I kind of got it,
Really? You? Half the time you can't shut up about family. You're
Well-
just now getting it?
Well, I can get being a part of a family, and that much makes sense to me. You take care of each other, you help each other out, and you're all family. But being a part of it and having one is making one yourself is a totally different thing. And I think I get it.
I'll take your word for it.
Just hope we get to see her soon.
Wouldn't count on it. Cathania's a big place.
Speaking of Cathania, you mentioned your home's there. You excited to go back? If we make it.
Who said we were going back? My home's just about as out of the way as you can get in the world.
Well, for some of these things, I don't know if you exactly noticed, but I don't know exactly where we're gonna find the Goblet of Ilganes 10.
I would imagine
believe
Ilganes.
based on- Yes, it's just a goblet
Ilganes
made
tin
of
comes
tin
from
from.
Ilganes, surprisingly enough.
I don't know where that is. I don't know where things are. I'm still learning. Hush.
Think north. And
I'm not
then
drunk,
think
you
a
are.
li- And then think a little bit more north. And then think a little bit more north than that. And you're way too south.
If you keep going a bit north from there,
As you say north every time, Fleet just lifts her head up a little bit. That's a long way north.
Yeah. That's a lot of Cathania. And there's more every day.
Maybe traveling the world is a bit too big for my britches. Oh, fuck that!
I'm just happy to continue in exploring more of good old Gaecia.
Absolutely.
Especially if it's with you lot.
You all are.
Alright. Well, the more we spend time together, the more I see, the more I start to believe Fleet.
Believe me?
We are sort of slowly becoming a little ragtag family.
God damn it, Althea. You keep saying stuff like that, and we're going to have no trouble finding a unicorn.
Is anyone around the table not smiling right now?
Ash just looks confused.
Phoenix is exasperated, but it's probably approaching a smile.
Fleet's
DM.
smiling.
Fenix got a drink inside him, so yeah.
Can I attempt to subtly get the wand of smiles out and point it at Ash under the table?
Sure.
Fucking hell.
Like,
Yes!
No.
Yes!
none of you see, because I'm sure that's more than all your passive perceptions, and it'd be less anyway because you've had the drink. So that's a charisma saving throw from Urashi, I believe.
-2 charisma.
But you,
I think
but
it
you
still
bloody
saves.
pass. It's
The
DC
DC
10. Why can't it be against my spell save DC?
You can't make me happy, bitch.
Because it's a spell that's tied to the item, not you.
Curse your D&D gods.
Blaine Xanathar's guide. That's where it's pulled from. Yeah,
Curse you,
you
Xanathar.
feel this pull at the kind of corners of your mouth, Urashi, and you kind of think
And I'm like,
you
oh,
kind
what's
of
happening? And frown
you
immediately.
wipe your hand across your mouth as if to wipe away kind of remnants of ale, and kind of as she does this, if you're disappointed to see, she still looks confused and not smiling.
You know, Urashi is the Kanye West of this world.
Never again insult my character so thoroughly. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Urashi. Very cool.
Oh no. Oh no. Well, what do we think first? We've got a list of things. Some of these are easier to come by than others. Do we just want to look for whatever comes up first, or seek out something?
The eyes of a giant spider is going to be, and webbing and such, is going to be a lot more easy to come by than a unicorn's tears, methinks, chaps.
I mean, you say that, but the Ulgoran Mountains are a long way away.
It would make most sense to go to the farthest place from us, and then collect things as we're coming back. Would make it the shortest trip.
I want to go to the map
To the map!
for planning. Sure. If you want to plan, like, you've all got draw tools. If you want to start drawing, like, routes and stuff, be my guest.
I mean, as I said, I would have thought head up to Sword Turn, get across the river into the Faldhorns, have a nose around for unicorns, head up to Casimir, finish off Althea's delivery. Maybe head up to Rak Vignag, see if we can snag a copy of that book. Head over to Rak Gathnor, try our luck at some eyes. Head up to Rak Ilganes, get some tin, and then, I don't know, hope we encounter a wyvern along the way.
What is it with the racks in the names?
That is an odd pattern I didn't notice.
A peculiarity of the Dragonborn language. Let me. So north of this bit of river is Old Cathania. So that's kind of what Cathania originally was when it was carved out before Toothock went to sleep, and then kind of this southern bit below that stretch of river, whose name I forget off the top of my head, was what was expanded on during the I forget the name of it, the time when the gods were fighting each other. So that's why you've got elven cities and dwarven cities and stuff in it. So all these are cities that were constructed by dragonborns and named by dragonborns. So Rak just basically means city in Draconic, basically, or something to that effect.
While we're looking at this map, y'all are smart. Y'all have been around, looking pointedly at, like, Althea. This is gonna sound a bit out of nowhere, but is there anywhere you've seen a collection of people that look like me?
Not on my travels, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to repeat that.
When you're traveling around, have you ever seen a collection of people that look like me?
In terms of drow, rarely. In terms of half drow, almost never. That would be for most people.
And I think at this point, Phoenix was just like, what, elves? I saw plenty in Weetha.
Oh, elves, yeah, but specifically the kind of elves that are, you know, like me. Dark, I think is the term. Drow.
Fleet, don't take this the wrong way, but I don't think I've ever met an elf like you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Savage!
I take that as a compliment, thank you.
Yeah, Phoenix has drawn his proposed route.
But, I mean, like, drow, like, where do we come from? I've only ever been out east, so I don't really know much else.
Would that be a history check, DM?
You'll probably all know the basic story, which is in the you've all been given it in the basic lore doc. But like, if you're trying to fish for more details, I mean, sure. But like the basic story of it was, you know, Thardmir Drow who helped.
I'm more just extrapolating from the story where I think the Drow would be now.
Sure. Yeah, history.
Jesus, you're on a roll.
Drow are kind of outcast a bit. from the elves. So you won't see many in Weether, because elves I like them. You definitely won't see Elgon Mountains because dwarves dislike elves in general, and most dwarves of even slightly cleric temperament would probably try and kill a drow on sight because they're descendants of the Godslayers.
Good to know.
Yeah. Half drow. It depends how zealous they are. If they're from a city as opposed to a village or whatever. So there are a few who live underground. So that'd be kind of. Let me redraw. That's probably not great. So there'd be a few underground in kind of this section of the world. So as in literally underground, so kind of in the upper reaches, the Underdark. Not much is known as to what societies they have down there because they are generally they're either self-subsistent or they get what they need from the surface through, you know, stealing and stuff, as opposed to trade deals. So very little is known of the actual societies underground. There's not really a great many of them, so like a few thousand. So like maybe 10, 15 at the push, not like hundreds of thousands, which would be the total amount of elves. You will see a few scattered around like on the surface in civilization. So they might be 100 maybe in Akaran or Harana. There might be a couple in QU. Where a lot of drow tend to live are in the Gandarin, with Goliaths and Aarakocra. They have like pockets of communities. They're generally less kind of more traditional drow, evil and steely. They're kind of a lot more sociable and generally a bit more honest in their dealings. A few in the Badlands as a whole. There's actually the place where they're probably most populous would be in this area of Cathania, in Falari and Mithal, because they are what was Elvish cities before Cathania took them over, and kind of drow aren't the most populous kind of elf there, but they are a significant demographic, and kind of other elves you find in that region are less distasteful of the elves. However, they are the elves that live in this southern bit of Cathania are generally disconnected from as a whole,
So
kind of
just
socially.
just based on that location and the route Phoenix would have had to travel south, is it possible that Phoenix has actually met a few drow before?
Yeah. You probably like pass through one or both of those cities on your way south. So yeah, you might have met a few.
You're not going to like this fleet, but for the most part, the context I hear drow is avoiding them, killing them. But
Yeah, I've heard
I've met a
some of
few
that.
in my travels back in Gathania, over in Falari. They were there.
Wait, you've met some?
A handful. They seem to mostly keep to themselves.
I'll
At
have
the time, I
questions for
didn't
you
really
later.
know there was anything, special about them.
I think I have some things that I
I
need to
really only
ask you
learned
later.
that in Weetha.
Okay, okay.
But I mean, if you're looking for some, I think, if I recall correctly, down round about these parts too.
Down? Oh,
Down.
Underdark. Huh. Well, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
If you want, it looks like we'll be in Cathania anyway. It's a bit of a detour, but hell, we'll be trekking for months as it is. What's a few weeks?
I mean, if y'all wouldn't mind, I would be happy to see them.
Sure, chap.
Why not?
Of course.
We're always like, strongest around those that we're similar to.
Well, I don't know if I fully agree with that.
Ancestral guardian! No, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean it like I'm weak around you pussies. No. She meant like
Oh, you're totally just like messing up
Ash.
my groove, dude.
Ash. No,
I
Ash
agree
thinks.
that Ash is a proponent for eugenics.
You threw off my groove.
No, Ash thinks that given that she draws strength from her ancestors, she obviously feels closer to them when she's around family. That's all she means. Is
I mean,
that
your
she
parents are
personally
technically your
feels.
ancestors. No,
Stronger
Yeah.
and mighty together, I see.
But that's not to say that she's also stronger around her allies. That's not what she means.
Well, it would be appreciated. I have, as you can probably guess, a few questions and things that I need to know, but that's for later. That's far in the future, not stuff we need to think about now.
It certainly gives Phoenix's proposed route a few more squiggles.
I think I like this route. Stopping in the Faltorn Woods seems nice. Given what you just told me, I'm a bit worried about the Ulgorn Mountains, but hopefully we don't spend too much time there.
I mean, this route that and he'll kind of look around the table and was kind of checking if anyone's got like objections to this route. This is going to be a long trek. He'll do a bit of mental maths. This will be months.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Ash is alright with it.
We'll have plenty of
Althea's
time to
looking at it like wide-eyed because the longest like caravan journey she's done it has been her trip down to Kazmir down to the village and back up. So she's looking at this like, and we can do this together, right? Yes.
well,
So
we're
be
not
like-
going to split up. That seems ridiculous.
Like our big trip. Oh, we're going to see so many sights.
Phoenix will just stare at the map, look at QU,
And
and
I
see how far this route
presume
takes him
I'm
away
not-
from it.
I mean, this is probably closer to Q you've been since the campaign started. And
I know, that's the thing. This is literally the closest QU he's been. He's planning a route that takes him about as far away as you can get from QU.
Actually, since we're
No,
so
you could
close,
be, like up here.
Oh yeah, we could take a detour to go visit Ash's home.
yeah, into the
Yeah.
plateau.
Oh dear.
Since we're so close, I suppose if there's a runner around, I could send a message to my old teacher friend.
Actually, this is a dumb route. Why am I suggesting this route? If we're going detour.
I don't know.
No, sorry. If we're going detour like that, then it would make more sense to.
Well, Phoenix draws up his
Do
new
that.
proposed route. Since we're so close to QU, I know I mentioned a friend of mine who might be able to help you get some admission and get a bit of a foot in the door. And since we're so close, maybe I can send a message their way, see if they're willing to help.
Fleet, honestly, at this point, if I'm going to be trekking around all of Cathania, I'll probably run into someone who can help me out. QU was just, I'd heard it's just where you go. But sometimes you just find there's other places to go.
Well, if I'm being perfectly honest, you seem more talented than half the people there.
Yareth takes offense to this, but sure.
That's blatantly untrue.
And your point is? Fleet believes it. I don't understand magic shit.
DM, how common is river travel in this world? Is it mostly road routes, or is river travel quite popular?
It really depends. So in terms of like trade, the vast majority of that is done on wagons and caravans. In terms of kind of personal trips, sometimes that's done by boat. you know, there
Like,
are
would Fennec
several
think it would be feasible to travel by river down from Rak Rathox down to Rak Gathnor?
from, say, that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be upriver. However, yeah, I mean, it's definitely feasible. Like, it can be done. It's not the most common way, but it's not impossible. Sailing isn't the most well-developed technology in this world because it's a singular landmass. So the vast majority of sailing that gets done is like, from Rothen you'd fish maybe in that area. That's about it, kind of thing. So you kind of like there are like ships that like go at the coast, but like there's very little like deep sea kind of sailing. So it's not the most well-developed technology, but it's definitely possible.
Can I make the assumption, chaps, that if it's going to be that long of a journey, this may not end up being the only job that we pick up?
A lot of towns in between here and there.
That's my thoughts exactly.
Plenty of time to do plenty of things, honestly. If you're
Little
saying
bit of
that this
extra
is
money
going
and
to take,
experience.
if you're saying this trek is going to take months, I think we have time and only time, really.
I mean, Athe, you remember that your master trades from Aasmai into Cathania.
And I'll suggest you all say this too, seeing as we've already considered our little detour to Filari. There's someone I might want to talk to in Guxnam.
Fair enough.
I mean, if y'all are going to let me take this personal detour, I don't see how I could be opposed to yours.
Thanks. What about you, Ash? Anything you
I'm
ever want to
fine with
see?
it. I really am fine with it. I came out here to see more of the world. I'm not averse to. I'm not going to suggest that I stop doing that.
She's thinking about fighting a wyvern. That's what she's doing.
Maybe also she wants to punch a wyvern. I don't see how that's relevant.
Or a
Althea?
spider.
This is
We
the
get
reason I
to-
really like Ash is because I'm scared of spiders and she isn't.
We get to complete my route. I don't. We get to go into Falthorn Woods. That seems fun. I've been meaning to brush up on my proper draconic, so the nice hefty jaunt into Cathania will be good for that. It's a good route. I approve of it.
Can I just check, Althea, is your boss going to be fine with you just gallivanting off?
We probably won't be fine with it, but I'm sure we can talk something out. After all, I've got to keep the hope for better days to come safe. I'm sure he'll understand.
Just checking.
Well, if we've got our route for the day and our plan for days to come, I think we're calling it a night then, are we?
I'll drink to that one.
I think so. Yeah.
Sure.
I don't see what else we will be able to achieve today.
Cool. So you kind of finish off your platter of miscellaneous fowl. It is quite late in the evening, and you will eventually all turn in. They're decidedly nice rooms. Again, the beds might be too comfortable for certain barbarians' tastes, but that's up to you.
She'll manage.
It's it's nice enough. Yes, I think we'll take a 10-minute biology break there, since it seems like a good place to stop.
Awesome.
Cool. So yes, thank you for watching, Nathan. We'll take 10-minute break and we'll be back right then. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone between one but Gaecia. We just finished our break. Yeah, so welcome back. Day will dawn over the city of Aasmai. Is there anything that people want to do in the city before you leave? Because you only have 3 horses at the moment.
Yeah, Phoenix would like to find the central market
Sure.
or the closest thing, central shopping district. I believe the priest mentioned a high street, so if that exists.
Yeah, so there's like there's a great market technically. That's kind of the main market, that's towards the center of the city. However, there are like kind of lesser markets that would like they're mainly for there's no reason for a person who lives at the very edge of the city to walk into the center of the city to buy goods. They're kind of mostly kind of grocery stuff.
Yeah, I think
markets, but the main great market is where you'll most likely to find stuff like horses as opposed to general like groceries.
No, he'd be looking for a diamond of sufficient quality to match his material component requirement
For
chromatic orb. So he needs to
50
find
yeah,
a
okay.
roughly 100 gold diamond.
And you got for 50 GP. Hang on, let me look at the spell.
It's an expensive ass diamond.
Great spell, though.
Oh no, it is 50 GP.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
that's so much better. I still have spending money. That's good.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
copy spells.
I can get another spell.
So in terms of a magic component, yeah, you could definitely find your more expensive magic components here. Like here, as the capital of the most trading company in country in the world.
Lovely.
Yeah, you can definitely find that here without too much bother.
Cool. I'll mark that off, and I can now cast one of my spells.
Oh, imagine a wizard casting a spell. What madness!
What? Wizards?
You know, when I was going through Xanathars for my subclass, there is an option to give half orcs a superstition or barbarians a superstition that says they don't trust wizards, and I was very tempted just for the meme. I didn't.
I mean, it's not outlandish, really.
See, actually,
Most
if
people in this
possible,
world wouldn't trust someone who casts magic.
I don't like your funny words, Magic Man.
so if possible, he'd actually try and find if he can buy it as is, that would be great. But if he could get it like set into some sort of chain on his wrist,
Um,
not like a silver or gold chain or anything, just a little metal chain, just to keep it secured. So he's
I mean,
got it on
you
hand.
could probably like find a chain, find a diamond, and then like find a blacksmith who's kind of put the two together.
Yeah, that would work. I mean,
over like an hour or so.
how much
yeah.
would that cost me?
So the chain might be like, let's say, if it's vaguely ornamental, you don't want to look hideous. Let's say a gold, and then for an hour's work, the blacksmith might charge like, let's say, another gold if you're trying to rush out because you want to leave today.
Yeah, that'd be fine. He'd kind of just separate from the group, let them do whatever they
sure.
need to do in the morning, and come back. And he'd come back with a little steel kind of thin chain around his wrist with a diamond.
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
not
so
particularly big.
so it can kind of semi loose, like it won't like fall off his hand, but kind of so he can, if he wanted to, if he could like lean his hand down and just catch the diamond and have it in his fingers.
I mean, you can have a big low quality diamond, or you can have a small high quality diamond. It's up to you.
Oh no, it'd be like a small high quality diamond.
Sure. Yeah. Anybody else buying anything or doing anything in the city? Or is it you
Ash
do only
just
have
wants
3
to-
horses?
Ash just wants to. Oh, is that the DM saying we should buy a horse?
Well, I'm not saying you should because carts move at walking speed, but yeah.
Uh,
Our horses, would they technically be under the ownership of Althea's boss?
The horses that are currently putting in carts, yes. Also the ones that died, yes. Because there's
no,
ones
no.
that Althea and her companions were using to transport downward, and then
No.
obviously back up.
None of the ones pulling
not-
the carts died.
No, but yes, all those ones are technically Althea's boss's horses.
Right. May I suggest then, chaps, we get one more horse now, because of ease of getting to Tasmere, or well, so turn or wherever we're going. Where it's Tasmere that your boss is at, isn't it? Chap,
Yes,
Alpha?
Titus. Yeah.
Brilliant, Titus. So once we get to Tasmere, we can then give him back his horses and pick up 3 more once we're there. Assuming that he wants them back.
There are 5 of you, and that would be 4 horses.
Let's get 2 horses then. For some reason, I keep thinking this is a 4-person party.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is.
Wow.
Unless,
Ouch.
Fleet, you are going to keep insisting on just staying. Not Fleet. Ash, no. God, for goodness sake, I'm the worst person. Phoenix, you, fireman! Unless you're going to want to not ride a horse and instead stay in the cart again.
He'll absolutely be staying in the cart.
Okay, in which case we only need to get 1 more horse right now.
I'll say be aware that you would definitely want at least 1 more horse to kind of rotate around the carts, just so you don't wear the cart horses out on the way to Casmere, because it's a bit of a trek pulling carts the entire time. Yes. Okay, so you're after a horse.
Yes.
A draft horse or a riding horse? Or a war horse?
What are our
If we want it to pull a cart, it needs to be a draft horse, doesn't it?
I mean, a war horse probably could.
But war horses are also expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so draft horse, I believe, is 50 gold. Let me kind of try and look it up. That's the wrong section of the thing. They're not under equipment, are they? Yes, they are. Yes, 50 gold for a draft horse. Okay. So, who am I giving control of this horse to?
I will take the horse as a replacement for mine that died. May he rip in heaven.
I mean, mine also died, but given that I hadn't named it, I don't think I can lay claim to the remaining horse.
Okay. Player's journal, fleet. Can we edit? Controlled by fleet.
Sleipnir 2, Electric Boogaloo.
There you go.
Yeah!
Okay. Let me just put him in the horse tab. Boop, there we go. Alright, anything else?
Yeah, how much could Phoenix sell his old staff for?
The Arcane Focus staff.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to just go in. He's not going to say, "Oh, I'm going to sell this quarter staff." No, it's going to be, "I'm just going to sell this magic staff."
Roll me persuasion. Yeah, you sell it for 15 silver. That's the best offer you can find.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Sure. As a point of note, the Staff of Adornment is not a arcane focus. In case you're wondering.
It's not?
No, it's a staff as in it's a stick. It's not a magic staff.
Oh.
Okay, no. What? I really thought it was an arcane focus. I thought all quarter staffs were an arcane focus.
No, a staff as an arcane focus is different. It's like, oh, it's cut from this specific magic tree, or it has a crystal at the end, kind of thing. That's what arcane focus staff.
Staff,
Whereas,
simple
like,
weapon, melee
quarter
weapon,
staff
minor
is not-
tier
it
equipment.
needs
Ah,
to be
so
arcane
in
focus.
that case, Phoenix would not sell his magic
Alright.
focus.
I'm just making sure.
Oh, what's even the point of the Staff of Endorment then?
It
So you
looks
can-
cool.
So you can carry around your slime friend.
Yeah, but he doesn't. It's two staffs.
I mean, you could get like a different arcane focus and put that on top.
You know what's cooler than
Like
one staff?
crystal.
2 staffs. There you go.
Yeah, but he just looks dumb now carrying around 2 staffs.
Or do you look super cool?
You know what they call me around these parts? Phoenix 2 staves. I got 2 stabs. One of them got floaty things on. Can't cast spells through it though.
I ain't seen you in a long time, Phoenix 2 Stave.
See, I guess the Staff of Adornment spends most of its time just strapped to the side of his backpack.
Sure.
Yeah, he's hanging out with the slime boy.
Yeah. Keep keeping the slide like nice and unprotected, so anything that could like smash into vial will break it.
Reinforced.
Yeah.
Oh dear. All right. Anything else anybody else is doing?
Nothing on Althea's end.
No, I'm good.
I'm also good.
Uh,
Oh no, actually, while we're here, Ash would like to try and find some like little trinkety things that she can buy, like carved ivory, little carvings, carved ivory or wood, that kind of thing.
I mean,
Not of
yeah, you
anything
can
in
find,
particular.
like-
She's just
Yeah, you can find trinkety stuff here. This is, yeah, you'll. Depending on if you just want stuff that's literally just like gubbins or stuff that actually feels significant in some way.
I mean,
that.
significant would be nice, but
Yeah. You're not used to markets, so
oh, I'm gonna get ripped off 100%. Yeah.
investigation, please.
nice!
Oh dear. Never
So,
mind. It
It's
was
not
a
that you
fun
get ripped
idea.
off, it's more that you only find stuff that's like, this, yeah, it's the tooth of the werewolf. It's clearly just like a dog's tooth kind of thing, stuff like that. You don't find anything that particularly strikes your eye, and you
Well,
you
she
feel a
wouldn't buy.
certain
She
level of
she
distaste. For
yeah.
the
She wouldn't buy bullshit.
merchant.
She's just looking for something interesting.
I mean, there's possibly a couple of things that strike your eye. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Something that does catch your eye is it's what appears to be a necklace, and kind of so on the kind of string there appears to be a collection of wooden tokens, and kind of carved into each token is kind of the head of a different animal.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, I mean, it looks to just be like a standard oak, and it's mediocre craftswork, but you can only tell what they are. They're not rubbish, but they're not works of art.
That's good enough for me. Yeah, she just wanted cool stuff. She's not bothered really
Okay.
about the specifics.
Let's say 2 gold.
Sure. Yep. Starting with 2 gold.
Got a fancy necklace now.
Oh, necklace. So I assume everyone else thinks is really ugly, but is too scared of her to say.
I think it looks
I mean,
great.
it kind of matches your whole barbarian chic. So,
Barbarian chic.
yeah.
That's class.
Fleet is going to look for non-magical paper and ink, so she can write letters
Yeah.
to no one in particular, obviously.
Okay. Parchment, 1 sheet is 1 silver piece.
Let's see. We're gonna be out there for a few months. Let's get 20 sheets of parchment.
Sure. And then an ounce bottle of just basic ink is 10 gold, and then a quill is 2 copper, according to the BHB, apparently.
All right. So, bit of ink, lots of paper. That should be good.
Yeah. 1 ounce bottle will be more than enough for like 20 sheets of parchment, I'd imagine.
Yeah. I hope so, anyway.
Yeah.
That's a point. Phoenix would also pick up about 50 gold worth of inks, papers, everything you need to transcribe spells.
The magic stuff.
Yeah. This is probably the easiest place you'll find that kind of thing.
And I'm poor again.
Hey, that ain't my fault. Cool. Anybody else doing anything else?
Got rations. I'm all set.
It's rations are probably actually no. For until Kazmir, you're traveling along fine, so you'll be taverns every day, so you don't need rations.
But having them in the long run is not a bad idea.
I mean, yeah. I'm just saying you don't need them. But if that is everything,
on second thought, would I be able to go to, and I'm awful and cannot remember, the chain of pubs?
the Merryfall Association,
Yeah.
the tavern
Can we
where
get? Can
the
we
tavern
get?
where you slept. Yes, you can go to the tavern you slept in.
No, can we get the same consumable items that were available previously from here?
Yes.
In that
So,
case,
anything in the consumable tab is common in every Merryfall Association.
amazing.
Tavern.
In that case, could I
That's
pick
the
up
whole point of having them. Stuff you can also get like healing potions and stuff there as well.
Yeah. Could I pick up in that case one seed of magic, please?
Of course. I would also say be aware that because your packed slots are level 2, eating one seed of magic would have no effect.
That is a very good point. Oh God. Okay.
This level spell slots.
No, in that case, I won't. Not right now,
All right,
because $80 is a lot to drop.
it is. That's the point. It's not meant to be cheap.
I know.
All right.
This guy with his second level spell slots. Could he eat 2 seeds at the same time and get a second level slot?
Yes, you can eat up to 5 seeds at once.
So if you ate 2 seeds at the same time, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He's just saying he doesn't want to drop 80 gold at the moment.
Yeah, $80 is a lot of money to drop when I only have like 100 and something.
So, if that's everybody done for the moment, it's kind of mid-morning after all your getting horses and stuff that you start to leave. So you kind of so there's 3 of you driving carts, 1 of you on a horse, and then Phoenix in the back of the wagon. Correct?
Yep.
Cool. So you start making your way north of Avery, continuing northward. I can speak. Northwards up the spine towards Sword Turn is your first stop off. Okay. Is anybody hoping to achieve anything particular as they travel? This is not just today, it is like in general on the journey between here and Sword Turn. Is there anything people are specifically wanting to do as they're traveling?
I don't think so.
Not in particular.
Phoenix would just be transcribing a spell.
Right, so you can do 1 hour per like evening, because that's like in terms of like having the mental capacity to do so, kind of thing. Because riding isn't the easiest thing in the world. But,
It's a pain
so
in the
each day you
ass.
travel,
But
each day you travel, you can do like 1 hour of transcribing. We'll say. So let me just count 1, 2. Okay, so it's about a week from Aetherade to Sword's Turn, in cart. Kind of the first day kind of goes relatively uneventfully. Later in the afternoon, you will end up crossing the section of river just north of Aethway. I again forget exactly the name of that stretch of river. I have the name, I just don't have it handy. This is it's much larger than any bridge you've crossed so far on your party's travels. At this particular point, the river is it's several hundred feet wide. but quite shallow. So there are fords up and down it. However, obviously just north of 8th Way, there's a big honking bridge. So the first day of travel passes uneventfully.
So there's no dead bodies on the bridge with notes stapled to the front of them?
Perception check.
I'm trying to be very careful about this thing in particular, as I've seen it before.
You carefully have a look around. There's none obviously on the bridge. You look in the water because obviously ghouls kind of came out of the water when they attacked you before, but you can't see anything that looks decidedly dead. The closest you note is a vagabond who has. He seems to be still passed out from last night, despite the fact it's about 4 in the afternoon. That's the closest you find to any corpses.
Alright, no dead people. I'm happy.
Okay, so as I say, you eventually reach the hostel for your first night stay. There'll be half a gold per head for lodgings and food in these hostels. It's not the best, but it's not the gram. On this, as you wake up, Althea, on this morning, it's kind of like, those mornings you wake up, you just think, I swear I've forgotten something. And it's that kind of ever nagging presence kind of at the back end of your head. You're just like, I swear I'm forgetting something. You don't know what it is. As much as you think, you kind of go through a list and you're like, no, there's absolutely nothing I could have possibly forgotten. It's just that nagging presence at the back of your head, and it doesn't seem to go away. I don't know if this puts you in a foul mood or not. I don't know Althea's temperament, but I'll let you decide that.
It's just sort of pacing around, being
Yeah.
finger to face, just being like, no, still got that, no, that.
I'm assuming that this is visible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's like frustration upon her face.
Althea, I've got to say this is probably the most annoyed I've ever seen you. Are you okay?
I think I've forgotten something, or to do something, or to get something. I don't. And she'll just sort of like walk over to probably just to her supplies, take out a bit of paper and just start listing off stuff she has, and then ticking it off.
Yeah. It always seems to be there.
Did I mention anything to you that I was supposed to do? I think we were all good.
I mean, in my experience, when this happens, the more you think about it, the more it's going to slip away. Just give it a bit of time. It'll come to you.
And if it doesn't, it probably wasn't that important to begin with, chap.
If it is really, really important,
then someone will tell you at some point.
I don't know. I don't usually forget things, though I'm not usually carrying much, so there's not much for me to forget.
All right. So
I'm sure it'll come to me.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So as the kind of day progresses and you kind of travel further and further along the road, this kind of presence in the back of your mind kind of grows stronger and more nagging. It becomes harder and harder to just ignore it. It develops away from, I feel like I've forgotten something, and more just into it's no longer linked to any emotion. It's just a presence, a nagging feeling in the back of your head that you can't tie to anything. It's uncomfortable, to say the least. As the day wears on to about 4 in the afternoon, whoever's leading their little caravan you have, can you make me a perception check, please?
Apparently so.
Ah, Matthew.
So, despite this nagging in your head, or maybe it's kind of making you more keen to kind of pick out what's happening ahead, it dawns on you that you haven't seen anybody coming the other way for maybe half an hour or so. That's not too unusual. But what is unusual is as you kind of crest this little hill, you notice kind of maybe a mile, mile and a half ahead of you, there appears to be something in the road. It it doesn't look like a cart. It doesn't look like anything. You have to get closer to be sure, really. It doesn't look like something that should be on the road.
Oh dear.
Right. Well, hopefully this one isn't a body. Eyes open, friends.
Ash will fairly happily walk towards this to investigate. Like, cautiously, but she ain't that bothered.
So is Ash going ahead?
Ash will go ahead, yeah. She'll make sure she's still sort of within range of the others,
Yeah.
but go ahead, yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of dismount and jog ahead. As you get closer to a few hundred feet, you realise this is a table. Like a table that you could house say 8 to 10 people. It's in the middle of the road. There's a tablecloth on top of it. There's plates. There's cutlery. There appears to be like salt and pepper. Just a fully set table in the middle of the road.
Just missing the rabbit in the waistcoat.
This is Ash will call out. She'll be like, hello? Anybody lost a table? No? Oh, well. Back to the drawing board with that then. She'll drop
Ash,
back
who are you
and she'll
talking
tell
to?
the others what she's found.
A table.
Yeah, just there.
Just a
Is this
table.
another one of yours?
Just the
Phoenix?
table.
Is there any silverware?
I don't know, was there?
It was more kind of china than silverware.
I mean, China's also good.
Who's gonna fucking rob the cutlery?
What's a china?
I mean, someone leaves a table behind. It's finders keepers.
Althea doesn't know anything about Fae.
I'm assuming I've never heard like a campfire story about just a table and some silverware in the middle of nowhere, have I?
History.
Dear.
I would say kind of the same question for Ash because
No.
Nothing.
Are there chairs, or is it just a table?
There were chairs, yeah. They seem to be kind of a nice wood, kind of seated around. That's how she guesstimated the number of people from the
And
chairs.
is it like a dining table, so long and rectangular? Is it like
Yeah, it was long and
one?
rectangular, more like a
Is
dining.
it like across the road then?
Yeah, so it's kind of lengthways across the road.
I mean, not seeing much of a trouble here. We just pick it up and move it out the way.
My question, I don't know about everyone else, is more why is it there to begin with?
I don't know,
Not how
someone
we
wanted a
ground
picnic out in the woods.
If you want to also make a history of Ashley, be my guest.
Come on, Ash.
Gonna
I
be
believe in
shit,
you.
but
I
yeah.
believe in you. You've got this.
I don't.
Yeah, see, look at you.
Not
You
horrendous.
were
Not horrendous.
positively never heard of this before,
Nice, cool. Didn't think I would have.
but you're pretty sure.
As long as we try not to break anything, I'm sure we can safely move it out of the way.
We can move it out of the way. We can go around it. We could sit down and eat, I suppose.
Just out of curiosity, because it is at least, unusual. Phoenix will send Moat to just stand on the table.
Okay, so Moat, are you looking through Moat, or are you just sending Moat to scout?
Oh yeah, I'll look through Moat.
Yeah, so if you're looking through Moat's vision, he kind of flaps on the head. He kind of circles around. And yeah, it seems to be just a regular. It doesn't look regular. It actually looks quite nice. The kind of thing you might find in like a manor house. The kind of the quality of the china and the tablecloth and everything.
I'll direct
How
him to
close is he
fly down
getting?
and
So sitting on the table.
Oh no, no.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll fly down onto the table.
Yeah. Okay. As he sits down onto the table, he realizes there is a piece of incredibly clean parchment, and kind of written on it in incredibly neat handwriting is the word "sit."
Hmm.
I'll direct Moat to flip the parchment over, see if there's anything written on the back.
No.
I'm nervous, but I can't say why. Just something is very wrong here.
I
Maybe
think
it's
out of
playing
character,
D&D.
out of character, we all know why.
I don't. I have no idea.
Well, no, but like it's an obvious, just like this is weird.
Well, yeah. I think in character we know it's weird.
Yeah, we know it's weird.
So yeah,
This is why you get eaten by bags of devouring.
Yeah, I know. One of my other characters got eaten by a bag of devouring because out of character I did not know what a bag of devouring was.
That's what
Oh
I
well,
Got better.
has Phoenix told us that it says sit?
yeah. So the way his eyes will kind of dim whenever he's looking through Moat's eyes, his eyes will kind of re-alight. He'll kind of look a bit bemused and go, I think that's a bit of an invitation.
Oh, okay. Did it? How many seats are there?
It was about 7 actually was the precise number.
Huh?
I don't think necessarily to us, but
To someone.
I mean,
some
why
ways you can
can't it
read
be
that.
to
It's a bit of a
us?
demand. There aren't 7 of us.
But there are 5 of us. Clearly, the host and someone else.
Dun dun dun.
Maybe the host is 2
He's
people.
got lovely
Do we-
typography. I'll give him that.
Do we expect it to be for us? I mean, it's a table in the middle of the road.
No, I don't. However,
It's a well-traveled road.
let it never be said that Jarl Sebastian Lieb von Nottelstamp is never one to turn down a potential story.
Or a cup of tea.
Unless it involves violence, in which case you run away.
Look,
Yeah, I don't think there was any food on that table.
that
And
violence is never a story. Violence is the preamble before a story.
or the result of telling it wrong.
Well, if
Or
we're
that.
curious, let's go sit down.
I am always curious. Let's go.
What's the worst that could happen?
We all die.
Do you want the list?
So as you get closer and closer, you all start to be able to see it for your own eyes. This is a dining table set up to host guests in the middle of the road.
And Moat.
Yeah. So Althea, that's your name. So as you get closer and closer, you definitely feel this pressure in the back of your head mounting somewhat. This is the wrong music. That's giving the wrong ambience. There you go. Yeah. No, that's still the wrong piece. Hang on.
My vibe is all over the place, Ferret.
You threw me off my groove.
The vibes from this table are fucking weird, man.
They keep changing.
I'm sorry, you thrown off Althea's groove.
Oh dear.
The vibes. I don't know what the vibes are.
Yeah, we'll go with
Okay, I can
the
place
vibe.
these vibes.
Yeah.
These are nice vibes.
Yeah, so as I say, as you get closer and closer out there, this pressure in the back of your head, it goes from a kind of a pressure to almost a noise. It's kind of somewhere between a buzz and a hum, and it's getting more and more intense.
Does,
Well, as
does
you get
anyone else
within-
hear that?
no one else does.
Hear what?
That.
I mean,
I
Phoenix
didn't
will,
hear what.
Phoenix will take a moment to just listen.
There's like buzzing.
You hear birds and stuff, probably. The wind in the trees.
I
The
mean, I
birds are
couldn't tell
lovely
you
this
what
time
kind
of
of
year.
bird that is, but
Wind in the trees, a local tabaxi.
Ah, you
Hey.
sussed out my subtle ruse.
that's the name of my cousin.
Yes. It's as you get to within about 30 feet of this table out there, it morphs once again. It goes from this kind of buzzing hum into a sonorous bell-like note.
Oh, good word. Sonorous.
Like painfully so.
No, as in kind of bing, kind of quite a nice one.
Okay. Now it's a bell? This is a weird table.
Phoenix will give
the
Althea a
way it's kind of
concerned look.
morphed, you get the feeling that perhaps this bell is what you've been hearing all day. It's just kind of from further away it got distorted and distorted and distorted.
You know, Althea, typically hearing things is not a good sign.
I mean, I know that. But this table sounds like a bell.
I can assure you, chap, it unequivocally doesn't.
Okay, we're sitting down.
Yes.
Phoenix
Ash
is not.
sitting down.
Screw that noise. You've just described this
Not a
table like a
chap.
bell. He's not sitting down.
Makes you hear things. I ain't here for that.
Yareth will sit down at the fucking head of the table.
Okay,
Of course you will. Bye bye, Yareth. It's been really nice adventuring with
There is a
you.
head of the table.
yeah. So there's kind of because it's a rectangle. There's 3 one side, 3 on the other, and there's a head. So yeah, I'll let you sit down however you want. Yes.
We'll
So
sit down,
everyone
yeah.
Urashi is sitting down, just to clarify.
Oh, no. Phoenix is not sitting down.
Okay,
We're
so
sitting down.
3 people sitting down.
Althea would ask Urashi to like sit down at the same time as her in chairs that are next to each other.
Would she now?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't like it, but okay.
Ash is big and strong and can protect.
Okay, fine. Ash will sit down.
Everyone but Phoenix is sitting.
Ash thought it was a bad idea, but then she also assumes that Althea knows more than she does about this kind of thing. So
So Asmund but Phoenix sits down in 2 of the unoccupied chairs. It starts as kind of like Phoenix, kind of like a heat tape, as a kind of the air goes weird and you can't quite see what's behind it clearly, and it will kind of morph and form, and eventually you see shapes. In kind of the course of a few seconds, these shapes will take solid form. The first is, to most of you, what appears to be a human male. They have golden blonde hair that's kind of in these kind of very neat curls, kind of arranged, kind of like a mother has just like sculpted his hair to make it all neat for the school photo kind of thing. It kind of
why
got
are you
a-
describing yourself?
I don't have golden blonde curly hair. I wish I did, but I don't.
The rest of the description is the thing I was taking issue with.
I know it is. I would take that as a compliment. Yes,
You
it's
do
kind
you,
of
buddy.
a youthful face. It kind of it looks almost impish to an extent. However, just around the eyes there are a plethora of kind of creases and worry lines. And as you kind of look into the eyes, while the face looks like of a young man, the eyes look like that of a very, very old man. For most of you, they appear a kind of hazel brown. For Althea, they appear a kind of iridescent gold. He is dressed in a kind of dark brown cloak. It is hooded, however, the hood is down and kind of around his shoulders. It looks incredibly simple, almost monk-like, and it's kind of tied around the waist with this kind of rope belt. Althea, you remember back to the day you met Hope, when you had that link where you could kind of see her memories. You kind of, as that link was broke, you turned away and you looked farther than you actually could. You saw a man in you don't know it's a man. You saw a figure in a robe, identical to this brown one. Sitting opposite them, there is a female figure. It appears to be a tabaxi. When they initially form, they seem to be made of their fur seems to be this like pearlescent white. However, over time, as you interact with this figure, this coat will change very slowly. It's not jarring. It just kind of very subtly shifts from one shade to another, and then eventually will kind of cover the whole spectrum of colors that a tabaxi might be. So black, kind of tabby, kind of more leopardy with kind of the spots, tiger, stuff like that.
So what you're saying is a tabaxi can change its spots.
This one apparently
Get out of the
Awful.
D&D stream.
Can we give like a D at the end for it? Can we just like elect to give Lumie a D inspiration instead?
I was thinking about offering her an actual inspiration.
Yes, please.
Because much as I groaned, I kind of liked it.
God damn it. This is not behavior that should be rewarded.
I can't believe you've done this.
Petition to call them Dimspirations.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I mean, given that I have no inspirations because you guys don't like me enough to vote for me, I mean, I think a bad pun is all I'm gonna get.
Well, now it just sounds like you're groveling, so
You
I'm not
made
going
yourself
to
sound
vote for you.
pathetic, so I'm like leaning away from it now.
Yep, deserved.
We'll go back to the description. So this is what appears to be a female tabaxi. They are dressed kind of like the human male opposite them. They are dressed kind of plainly. However, this is more like it's almost like monkly in kind of it's the it's not kimono, it's the gi, I think it's called, where it's kind of in a lovely crimson color with kind of purple trim. At least that's how it is when it starts out with a pearlescent white fur. But the color of this garment will also change to complement whatever coat the tabaxi has at the moment. On their head, they have what is it's almost a kind of crown ish. However, actually a tiara is probably a better description. It seems to be made out of this kind of intricate kind of golden wire, and kind of set in the middle of it there is this heart-shaped gemstone that starts out as roomy but will again change to be fashionable with the rest of the ensemble. Again, this looks like a decidedly young face. However, looking in the eyes gives you a impression of incredible age. And after a few seconds, these forms coalesce. It will be the human male who addressed you first. He will incline his head towards you all. Greetings. Well met, one and all.
Howdy.
Hello, chap.
Howdy indeed, the female tabaxi will say.
Hello.
Well, this meeting has been a long time in coming. He kind of looks towards back to Cross, and she will kind of half smile at that comment. But it has come at last. Thank you all for your expert handling of the Hope situation. Knowing she was with you was knowing she was in the very best of hands.
Ash looks concerned. She is not good at hiding this fact.
Mr.
So,
White, please sit. Then we can get food.
I'm sorry, and again, forgive our hesitation. I believe most of my companions and I probably aren't aware of the proper decorum when dining with gods.
Oh, well, it's like dining with just about anyone else. Please, sit.
I was
If
about
I
to
was more
say.
cruel,
Ash looks
I might
truly
demand a
panicked.
grovel, but, I get enough groveling in the churches. Just sit and eat, please.
Wait, you're not. Oh, okay.
Friends,
Hi.
I don't mean to alarm any of you, but I believe, this is... I cannot speak for you, sir, but I believe that this is, Tamalia, I presume?
I believe that is how I am. Ugh, oh my god! I believe that is how I am known. Pleasure to meet you, child.
And it's an honor to meet you.
And I assume that would make you Aasmai?
I believe that is correct. I have many names, but it's the one I am most commonly known as.
Hello. Again.
Hello, child.
I think that's
There's no
sort of
need
like
to be afraid.
I think
Do
was
not
it at
be
this point,
afraid.
Althea's like
My god impression.
Althea's sort of just like reaching out to whichever two are by her side, just sort of like like that sort of toddler hand waving like there's something's happening.
Hey, Althea,
Yes.
isn't that your dad?
Well, not quite, but
I'm sorry.
I mean, in a sense, I don't know.
Sorry, it was a stupid. It was a stupid joke. Let's carry on.
That's
Sorry,
so good.
sorry.
I'll put a hand on the back of the chair, but I will not sit.
No, Phoenix, hospitality.
Phoenix, I believe we're being offered
We seem to be waiting patiently for you to sit, Phoenix.
Phoenix, I
It's gonna be
believe we're
a
being
while,
offered a warm meal, and I think we should accept that.
Phoenix, sit down.
He'll push off the
Ash
chair.
is
and
not trying to threaten you, but you can tell she is going to push you into the seat if you keep refusing.
He'll push off the chair and he'll walk back towards the horses.
Phoenix, sit. Can I have a wisdom saving throw?
Ooh.
Tell me this is command, please. Yes!
3. He will roll a 12, which is a 15.
He succeeds.
Damn it!
No!
I got 5 more of these. She'll sort of like notice what she's done. She'll go, I'm sorry. He's being rude. I was rude.
I'm sure he will come around in time. As for food, just think about what you want. You kind of look down at his plate as kind of a handful of kind of like your little triangle finger sandwiches will kind of materialize on his plate in much the same way as the god himself materialize in front of you, and he will kind of just reach down and start eating. Oh, he will also the cup in front of him will fill with what appears to be tea.
Aasmai would be a tea drinker.
Tamale will do the same. However, what appears in front of her is a collection of kind of pastries. They're kind of like donuts, apple turnovers, that kind of thing. She will also have a cup of tea.
Fleet is going to think about mom's stew, home cooking, and I assume that it appears in front of her.
I mean, looking at it, it looks exactly the same as the stew your mum used to make. piping hot, like nice little bowl full and bread on the side.
Althea will think of this like spread of cheeses and olives and breads and sort of like this almost like selection meal rather than like an actual solid thing.
Yeah, I mean, as much as can appear on a plate will appear on a
Yeah,
plate.
yeah. That's what she's used to as lunch.
Gareth, in a similar way to Fleet, will picture a sort of
Picture Fleet's mum's stew.
well,
It does look real
You were
good.
made out of its mum.
A
Yareth's
no-
dark backstory
a-
is revealed.
a gnomish like broth, probably full of like meats and
Mushrooms.
vegetables. Yeah.
All that, yeah. And yeah, or whatever you all want will appear in front of you. But yeah, the gods are tucking in. You can tuck in as well.
Absolutely.
The gods are tucking in. What a sentence.
That's not a phrase I thought I'd ever hear in my life, but you know what? I'm happy I did.
What a sentence.
Yeah, so Phoenix, they all appear to be enjoying the food.
Good for them.
Right? So how far are you staying away?
I'm with the horses.
Okay, so where did you leave the horses then?
With the horses.
Like, how far back do you leave them? Like 30 feet? Like right next to it? Like a mile back? Like,
Probably about 50 feet.
okay. So you can probably just about hear and stuff. So kind of as you all finish what you were all eating and drinking, and kind of as everyone looks like they finished, Aasmai will kind of wave his hand over his plate, and kind of the remnants of everybody's meal will kind of disappear, and the plates will remain like they will look kind of pristine, clean, as if they've just been washed. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that. I trust it was to all of your tastes. Now, I'm sure you're probably wondering why we were having lunch.
That
Or
was-
afternoon tea, rather.
One of a few questions going through my head right now.
As it stands, you folks are somewhat important. Things that you are doing are necessary. There are things occurring in the world, and while it may not be obvious, you will have some part in making sure they occur our way. Now, in effort to help you all achieve your goal and, not die in the process, as that is unfortunately very possible, we have arranged an assortment of gifts for you all. Who would like theirs first?
You know, like when it's Christmas Eve, and all toddlers can approximately move at the speed of light. Althea is like bouncing up and down in her chair.
Are you putting your hand up? Like me? Or are you just bouncing?
No, she's just sort of like like she's obviously like the whole thing with Phoenix has ended. She's just sat there like. She's like, me, please. I don't want to seem eager, but this is big.
Very well. He'll kind of flick his wrist, and your plate will disappear, and kind of replacing it is a present. It's kind of it's box shaped. It kind of covered in this kind of patterned paper, and there's a ribbon holding it together. It's I'm trying to think about what dimensions it might be. Maybe about 10 inches wide, 10 inches deep, 10 inches long, and then maybe like 4 inches deep.
I was about to say, that's much more realistic. 10 inches deep is asking for a lot. But, I'm not apologizing for that joke.
You should. Sorry, it's a box, is it? Did you say?
It appears to be a box that, wrapped.
Well, it would be rude to open it without everyone else.
Please, go ahead.
As soon as he's like finished saying like the head bit of a head, she's just like very carefully but very manically ripping into this box.
Sure. Okay. I do tear off the wrapping. Indeed, what appears to be kind of a wooden box. It's incredibly plain. It's kind of this dark wood. It's kind of one of those ones where you kind of lift the top off. There's kind of a little box in underneath, if that makes sense. And you kind of lift the top bit off. What you see within is a silver circlet. It's mostly a solid silver band. However, kind of towards the front, it kind of dips down, possibly like 1.5 inches deep. And inlaid in this V, there are 7 white gems. The largest is the kind of very point of the V, so kind of the lowest part, and then the remaining 6 kind of go up the sides of the V, getting smaller as they get further away from this larger one. It looks pretty cool. I shall
It does.
I shall add it to your journal, and I'll let you decide if you want me to show it to everybody. It is a wall of text, I'm afraid. So while you're reading that, I will move on to whoever wants to be next.
Fleet, upon seeing this, will just shoot her hand up because now she's very interested.
Yeah. So yours is it's shoebox sized. So kind of 10 inches wide, maybe like 8 deep, and then like maybe 8 long, 5 deep. And yeah, it's similarly wrapped.
Before she starts unwrapping it, she just makes a very quick and very formal bow to Tamalia before just tearing into it with the same excitement that Althea did.
Sure.
Much less tact,
so,
but more excitement, yeah.
Again, it should be in your journal now. As you kind of lift off, it's a similar kind of wooden box, and you kind of lift the top bit off. What is within is indeed a pair of soft shoes, whereas Althea's circlet looked, pretty princess-like. This seems incredibly. The shoes seem incredibly utilitarian. They're kind of just like travelers' shoes. However, as you kind of inspect them, they're kind of sole. It has, while it's made of leather, it's got these intricate kind of carvings that look almost like arcane symbols. Again, I'll let you read it before you decide whether you want to share it with everybody or not. Who's next?
Ash will be alright with going next.
Sure. Hey, so you're, it's much the same size as Fleet's, actually. And when you kind of open the box, what's within is what appears to be these kind of iron braces. So they're not kind of full metal. There's kind of you can imagine a ring of iron kind of going down, that will kind of go where a bracelet would, kind of just below your hand on your wrist. There will be another circle, much wider, that would attach around your arm, a few inches down, so kind of halfway between the wrist and the elbow. And then there are 2 bands that connect these 2 rings together, if that makes sense. It's all one solid piece, but it kind of folds over to attach them. Yeah, that's kind of how it's formed. So they're kind of area of exposed flesh, kind of in between the kind of start and end of the bracer. I will add it to your journal. Put it on. It's a bit uncomfortable. Yareth, you seem to be the last one at the table.
Yeah, Yareth will be he would have taken his top hat off to eat and would just sort of be leaning on its side and just, I suppose, I'll go.
Your box is much smaller. It's about 2 inches wide, 2 inches long, and maybe an inch deep. Again, as you unwrap it, it's kind of this nice wooden box. You kind of take it open. It looks like a belt buckle. It seems to be made out of some kind of dirty, tarnished brass. As you kind of inspect it, it looks like it's been abused for at least several centuries. It's not dirty, but like it's kind of like the surface of the brass looks like it could do with lots and lots of polishing and buffing. There's dents in it. It's clearly shaped to be a symbol. However, it looks like it's so mal looked after that there's no way to actually discern what the symbol was. You kind of probably instinctively kind of take your kind of receiver to kind of try and brush the surface a little.
Yeah, you'd probably take a handkerchief out.
Absolutely zero effect on it. I should quickly put that in your journal. Kind of after Yaris opened his, Aasmai will give Phoenix a look. He'll kind of just wave his hand, and the chair that has no seat at it, the plate will transform into a present. This one is actually the biggest. It's possibly a foot long, probably like 10 inches wide, and then maybe 4 inches deep. He's not saying anything. He's just giving you a bit of a look.
Phoenix isn't even looking.
All right.
Yareth, if he's sort of trying to polish the belt buckle with the handkerchief, will probably look up and see the box and just... Phoenix, chap, there's something for you over here, I believe. Right?
He'll look back around and just say, "Keep it. I want nothing from either of you."
Very well. Is anybody wanting to share their items with the group? Or you need all a mystery from each other for now?
Do we have like an innate understanding of them, or is this like Althea's just sort of got to pass circle it for the meantime?
No. So as you kind of lift it up, the kind of magic of the items will kind of suffuse with you, let's say, and you understand what it is. You instantly understand what's on that sheet that you've got for now, basically. Obviously not in those like game mechanic terms.
Yeah.
Obviously in in character terms.
Ferret,
Mm-hmm.
can I just check that I'm reading the third sentence of the fourth paragraph correctly?
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Does that mean what I think it means? That if this creature
the
line,
third line of the fourth paragraph, yes.
the if this creature sentence, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down with that.
This is what I'm saying. If this creature is a god, Yareth can eat the god.
I mean,
Oh. Okay.
I mean, it doesn't mean it's not quite as. I mean, it probably means roughly what you mean, but I think the next sentence clarifies somewhat exactly what I mean with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Yeah, I mean, if we are sharing, then Yareth wouldn't share everything that it does.
Yeah, you can share whatever you wish to share.
Fleet is way too excited to not share.
Sure.
Very similar note.
Yareth will probably be last in sharing then.
Well, looks like I'm going to be getting a little bit better at keeping you all alive. I can already sort of
implies
feel
you
a.
haven't- That implies you haven't been doing that much already.
But you don't understand.
Something on your item, actually. Hang on, let me quickly edit. Carry on.
I can do more now, Gareth. And I have a feeling, and she sort of tinks the first gem on her head. I have a feeling this is just the beginning.
Oh,
Yeah, I've got a feeling that these gifts can grow, which is exciting.
Yeah,
It's just
I
sort of
clarified
like-
something that I just realised I completely forgot to put on yours out there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's just gonna tell me when random thing. No, I've got a number now. Cool. Keep track of that.
You keep track of that because I can't.
Yeah.
Same for the rest of you.
It turns out that life cleric dip is gonna be super useful.
I don't think I knew
Um,
what you were building around. Hey, this isn't the best stream if people are keeping it close to their chest, so move on unless people are showing.
Fleet.
Well, just check out what I can do. And Fleet immediately sprints to the closest tree, begins to climb up it, and just...
It requires achievement.
Yes, I was hoping that the attunement process happened quickly as I first put them on.
No, it requires the same regular achievement, so an hour.
Yeah.
Well, she tries to climb up to the tree and stand on it, and then immediately falls to the ground. Okay, they're not ready yet.
Yep. That is something you can do.
Give
We're
me
very proud of you.
give me an hour, and I'll show you what they can actually do. Ow! Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Yep.
It's on brand. It fits.
Well,
I just should have expected you to do this. I don't know why I didn't.
well, while Fleet recovers, it's a good job I didn't get that seed. Because this does it, but better. I can gain back some of my magic when I touch it, it seems, and makes my spells slightly better. Might be able to hit things more often when it's needed to.
Exciting.
And I sense as well, like what you two were saying, it might only get better from here on out.
Ash? What are those things?
Ash gets gauntlets of ogre power.
No.
Not quite yet.
That comes later. We have to pay for that.
If it's like the ones that only 19 show, that wouldn't be much worth it, really.
Yeah, they're uncommon.
Yeah. And I guess. Okay.
Is Ash gonna
Ash,
share
you're
with the
playing?
class?
Lumie?
Have we lost Lumie?
I think I was muted by accident. I've been talking for like 2 minutes.
Well done. Proud of you.
Ash just says, they will help me focus my energies, I think. That's all she'll say for now. And then she'll turn... I mean, the gods are still there, aren't they? I'm not going mad.
Yeah.
She'll turn to whichever one is nearest and say, thank you, but also, why? Why have you given these things to us?
No, as I said. Sorry, no. Tamale will actually answer this. Well, as my brother has already explained to you, you folks will be involved in important events to come, and these will hopefully allow you to get that far. The gifts are not all from us. I'm sure you know who yours is from, Yareth. Knuckle Stamp? Is that what people are calling you these days? But yes, they're not all from us. They're from various allies to our cause, but
That was shade. Jesus.
Hold up. I
I think you just got shade thrown on you from a god.
I'm trying to think. DM, what should I roll to try and avoid going completely fucking white and just shocked?
I mean, I think that's a personal choice.
Yareth stammers a little bit at that. Just just puts the top hat on and goes back to tarnishing the belt, polishing the belt buckle.
I hope you appreciate the pun in your item, Yareth.
I assume all of these have punny names.
Yareth is by far... Well, Yareth's the only one I actually call a pun.
Oh, it's not a spelling mistake.
No.
I can just hear the disappointment in Barrett's voice. Just
Anyway, okay, yeah. But if you choose to accept them, then, well, may they serve you well.
Can I just ask a quick question? If we don't accept them now, but take them with us anyway to maybe accept later, gives a look over at Fenix. Is that a thing that's possible?
I mean, we want you to have these items.
So if we took Fenix's box, gave it to him later, that'd be okay.
A smile is definitely playing at the corners of her mouth as you kind of whisper conspiratorially towards her. Yes, I believe that would be fine.
Brilliant.
man, if only you had remembered how to speak in people's minds at that moment. Could have been much cooler.
Gareth still doesn't know that he can do that. Shut up.
But I think our time here is finished. We wish you well on your journeys. Aasmai will kind of... May the gods be with you. And you'll kind of wave a hand before anyone can reply. Tamalia, the table, the chairs, the wrapping paper and the boxes, but not the gifts themselves, except for Fenix's, will all shimmer and will kind of dissipate. The chairs will as well, however, you don't fall down, you kind of find yourself standing. You're not entirely sure how that worked, but you are. Those who are magically inclined, you realize that was an incredibly powerful illusion. None of the table and stuff wasn't actually here. And neither the gods themselves, you don't think, based on how it shimmers and fades. But the food you ate and your gifts are as real as ever.
That was something.
I guess we're a little more important than we thought.
A little might be an understatement. I was doing things in her name, but I certainly wasn't expecting to meet. Huh. Yeah, just 1 second. Fleet is going to pick up the box, carry it over to where Fenix is standing, and just push it into his arms. Now you can accept it from me instead of them. Are you happy?
Cool, he'll take the box.
Alright.
As soon as Fleet turns away, he'll chuck it on the ground and get back on the cart.
Alright.
Ouch! My heart!
Okay, so are we moving on?
I think so. Unless
I think
Althea's...
I was going to say, Althea's probably going to try and transport the box on her cart.
Yeah. So I was going to say Yareth would if no one else was.
Yeah. Okay. So, pardon me. As you all kind of remount, kind of with your mixed emotions based on your recent unexpected afternoon tea, and you kind of ride off down the road. The screen will fade to black, and the end credits will play.
Oh, we all died.
And we're all dead. Alright, time to
The
roll
end
up new
of the
characters.
episode.
Oh well.
Yeah. So if I was doing this in like series or seasons, that's probably where I would end series 1.
Mhm.
That's only like in a TV show format.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you all very much for playing. Thank you all very much
Thank
for
you.
playing. Let's quickly do inspiration.
Ferret.
Hmm?
My vote is Ferret.
Eh?
I mean, we normally have an order to this thing, don't we?
I don't care. I love this item so much, dude.
Okay. Yeah, same. So for those who don't know, Britty, you can make your poll. I like to, give a little reward to players who, might have had a good session, had a pretty good RP moment. In the case of Lumie, maybe they made a especially bad pun.
Hell
So what I
yeah.
like to do is each player and you guys, the audience, will all vote for whoever someone you want to give inspiration to. And whoever gets the most votes out of the players and whoever gets the most votes out of the audience will gain inspiration. I do this more like luck points. So once you roll the dice, you can say, "I don't like that dice. I'm gonna use the point of inspiration to re-roll it." So it's just a nice little thing. So yeah, Brady, who are you voting for?
I'm kind of torn because I know you are stacked full on inspiration. So if you had a spot open, I would 100% vote for you because not only are the items fantastic, the setup to the whole dinner scene was fantastic, getting us on this road, giving us a little bit of freedom in how we want to start, where we want to go. I love all of this. This is incredible. But I'm going to give my vote to Matt for sticking with character guns so much that you are denying a possibly incredibly strong magic item. That's a difficult decision to make, and I really love that you made it.
Lumie.
I think I'm gonna go for Matt for the same reason.
You do like you're being voted to never accepting this item now.
Well, if he eventually accepts the item, that's fine, but sticking with
Right.
the character's morals and going
But we
that
will
road
judge him for it.
is pretty
Right.
sick.
Matt, who are you voting for?
I'm going for Lumie. I like the joke.
Thank you.
There are 2 people in this world.
There are only 2 people in this world.
2 types of people.
There's 2. There's Steve and there's Bob.
There they are.
Riley.
I'm not gonna lie. While Britty was talking, I was thinking the exact same thing. Like Ferret, at least I don't know about the others, but my item is amazing. I love it so much. But I have got to give it to Matt for sticking to his guns. And Matt, I don't mind if you eventually take the item for whatever reason, but sticking to your guns in that, whatever the reason, is brilliant.
I bloody hope so. I put effort into designing it. Matt.
It's when we get to Gathnor, that's when he'll accept it.
The end of the first quest. Right, who are you voting for now?
I mean, I was from the get-go going to go for Matt for sticking to his guns. Hell, I made a meme of it, so
It's a decent meme.
It's a good meme.
That's such a great format. I love that.
But yeah, no, it goes to Matt.
So with a full house, we have the inspiration going to Mr. Phoenix White. Matt.
Golf
Have
claps.
your point of inspiration and lick it. I don't know whether.
Do whatever feels right.
We'll give the chat a bit more time because only with 1 vote so far. Yes. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you very much enjoyed. We'll be streaming again same time next week. We are also planning on starting a second stream very soon. It might be this week, it might be next. We're not entirely sure. So follow our Twitter for updates on that at rolling_with_it. Yeah, it's just now dawned on me that I forgot today, but I am trying to post a little last time on Gaecia when I announced the stream. So obviously, if that's something of interest, right? Obviously, go follow our YouTube. As to subscribe and stuff, VODs will be going up. It's awful because it takes forever for all the processing. I'm trying to work out a system, and when I get a regular routine, it'll be better. Sorry, I'm going as fast as I can.
Installed it.
It's just like the download file on Twitch. It's always like it's like 2.5 gigabytes. It just takes forever to download.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes, so obviously, eventually VODs will go up there more consistently. It's just things are new. Any feedback you can send to me, to us, the stream as a whole. Plus, we want feedback. Nom nom nom. We can't improve if we don't know what's wrong. I was just saying to the players for me about my DMing style. Share it with your friends, share it with your grandma. There's got to be someone's grandma out there who likes D&D. I just know it. Yeah, but in general, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully, see you
Oh yeah.
next time. Bye.
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 Thanks for tuning in.